big night, and we still don't know what the Sixers are going to be doing with the third overall pick. Phillies lose game 1 in Houston, and I'm going to give you guys a red pill, blue pill scenario. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
I did not expect to see the series that we saw. 3 blowouts. I would never have expected that with those two teams. I'm glad 2 of them went our way.
And now you just watch them take 2 of 3 against the New York Mets. If you're going to grouse about getting swept, you also have to sort of celebrate the good.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Wednesday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man, John Kincade. Johnny, happy NBA draft day for round 1 because round 2's tomorrow.
I look forward to that
It's a
tonight.
2-day event now.
Yeah, the second day, I won't be able to pronounce half the people, and anybody who says that they know half the people is lying to
I'm
me.
sure my brethren will be selected in the second round, a couple of them.
I guarantee you there will be a couple Salciunas cousins. That will be, if you did the 23andMe, you'd probably be able to find a few.
There is a Lithuanian projected in the top 10.
I guarantee it.
There is. Like, I kind of want the Sixers to trade back just for me.
By the way, don't do 23andMe anymore. We had to bow out of that. So because they're folding like the.
Oh, is that right?
So we had to get out of that. So
You were obsessed with that for like a year plus.
Oh, it's unbelievable all the stuff you find. That's how I found out Jimmy Buffett and I were related. And I never knew it before. We didn't get to know each other before he passed.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It's a shame.
You guys could have sang together.
Because we're very tight, very, very parallel.
Yeah, you guys are.
Me and the Parrot
You
Heads.
and the vibe.
Very similar.
Very similar.
No.
All right, so the Philadelphia 76ers will have a big selection to make today, either at the third overall pick or they obviously do the Ace Bailey hostage scenario that you were talking about yesterday, where they draft Ace Bailey to use him as a trade piece at some point for one of the picks that follow. But before we get to draft talk, because we have a lot for it and a lot to get into, a lot of the players spoke yesterday. There's more and more information coming out on these players that will be selected tonight in round 1 of the NBA draft. I want to give you guys a red pill, blue pill scenario. It's not something that's going to happen. It seems that way, at least. But it is something that if the Sixers were thinking about it, they could do.
It's a scenario that I know you're going to place out here that's going to potentially, it would have made me smile.
I know it would have made you smile. If you look around the NBA right now, there are a lot of moves being made because of the new second apron that teams are getting used to. That's why we've not seen a repeat NBA champion.
Second apron.
It's just the way the contracts are working. You can't sort of cook the books as much as you were able to. You can't
salary cap penalization.
Right. You can't keep the players for as long as you were able to. There's more penalties, to your point. And so that's why we've not seen a repeat champion in 7 seasons, right? I mean, that's part of the reason why there were so many dynasties, because they could keep teams around. And so you see a team like the Boston Celtics, who yesterday, and we'll give you all the moves, yesterday traded Kristaps Porzingis for a financial reason. They traded Drew Holiday earlier this week. They're now fielding calls on either Jaylen Brown or Derek White.
And one of them, with yesterday on Malik Andrews' show, 80% certainty, the panel was like 80% certainty that one of those two is gone by Thursday.
Which is crazy considering the Boston Celtics just a year ago were the next dynasty.
And without an injury to Tatum in the playoffs, might have won the title this year or could have pushed for the title, might have been in the finals this year.
But if they won the championship,
would they have done this?
This is still happening. Shams Charania was reporting this, and Windy was reporting this back in April.
But would it have been this drastic?
Maybe not as drastic because, look, this year, whether people like Jason Tatum or not, is kind of a wash. He's their best player, and he's now out for pretty much the entire season.
Absolutely.
You're going to see more and more teams do this, especially these teams that all of a sudden suffered with serious injuries. I don't know what the Indiana Pacers, they just finished their season. I don't know what they're going to decide to do this offseason. I don't know what the Milwaukee Bucks are going to do, knowing that Dame Lillard is going to be out for pretty much the entire season. There are teams that are making moves right now to sort of cut cost and get ready for the future. Not a tank.
Because of the fact that there are injury situations and they realize that it's fool's money to just continue to throw money at something that's not going to work.
So here's your red pill, blue pill. I'll let you guys pick. The Sixers, one pill is they cut salary like some of the other teams are doing in the NBA right now. And they make moves for younger players. So that means a guy like a Paul George would be out. That means a guy like Joel Embiid would be out. These guys that are getting a lot of money. Tyrese Maxey's young, making a lot of money, but he's young. I imagine.
Yeah, but in these scenarios, he could go.
He could.
You see what Boston's done. You see what other teams have done.
You saw what Houston did with Jalen Green. Now they bring in Kevin Durant. That's a lot of money. But there have been some surprising moves already. Or the other pill is doing what you're doing now and realizing a conversation that we had yesterday, that the Eastern Conference is wide open. Not wide open for the Sixers is what I said yesterday, wide open for teams that are normally healthy. But this is one of those scenarios where you go, all right, I see what the other teams are doing. The Boston Celtics won't be the Boston Celtics next season. The Pacers are without Tyrese Halliburton. There are teams like the Magic and Pistons looking to take that next step, but I think the Sixers, if healthy, could be just as good as those teams, if not better. If healthy is the big question, right? So scenario one is you see what other teams are doing, you're going to do the same thing, or you see what other teams are doing and you go, this might be our best shot. Which way are you going, Johnny?
You know my answer.
I know your answer, and you know my answer.
You know my answer. It's ridiculous to keep throwing good money after bad. There's no window for the Sixers aren't winning a title. So if it's about winning a title, unless you're trying to cosmetically say, well, we want to get out of the second round so we can get that monkey off our back, so we can just get a talking point off the table, that's all you might be chasing. You're not winning a title. With anything you've got right now, you're not winning a title. So to me, absolutely. The smart franchises, the franchises that are going to be better run, are going to do things like this.
And that's the scary thing. The fact that the Boston Celtics are doing it, you're going, oh, wait, maybe they're on to something because they're the Boston Celtics.
They're thinking ahead, but they also have the luxury of recent success and where you can tell your fan base, look, we know what we're doing. We've been to the finals a few times. We've been to the conference finals a few times. We understand. Look, trust us. Sixers don't have any trust for a quarter of a century, so it's tougher to trust what their plan is.
Oh, yeah. I would look, if the Sixers did your scenario or my scenario.
They're not trusted either way.
People are going to be upset. Like, they're in a lose-lose situation right now.
But the thing is that it's not tanking.
Right.
What these teams are doing is not tanking.
I mean, the Celtics still acquired Anthony Simons. Like, he's going to be a nice player for them. If it's Derek White that gets traded, you still have Jaylen Brown.
What these teams are doing is intelligent and looking ahead and being smart. They're not throwing good money after bad. To strap your wagon to Joel Embiid and to Paul George is just it's folly in 2025. It makes no sense.
But
it makes no
2025.
Sense. It makes no sense.
Could be your best shot.
Best shot to do what? Get out of the second round? To say that you haven't done something since 2001? So that's what you want to.
That's step one.
You just want to. You're not winning a title.
Actually, step one is
not going
getting
to the finals.
into the playoffs, considering last year.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, if that's what you're talking about, then you're wasting time.
Now, you know what? Step one is no ramp-up period in October.
To me, I would absolutely find some way out from under him.
And you know how I've been feeling with Embiid. You go down. I'm going down with the ship, man.
Why do you want to go down with a ship? Like, who wants to do that? And I'm telling you, this is what surprises me. Because the only people who want to go down with a ship are the people who just want to still be able to find, I still have a chance to be able to say I was right. And that's not you. That's not you.
That's not my reasoning.
But it is in a way.
Yeah, but that's not my reasoning.
Because it's not the way. No, but in a way it is. Because it's not, and that's not you.
I know all the risks. But
you're not winning a title, so you're not winning a title.
Says you.
Come on.
All right, coming up next, for those of you who are unaware about the moves made in the NBA yesterday, there were a lot of them. So we'll go through those coming up next and how it's changing teams in the NBA because of this new second apron and how all of a sudden there might be some really good teams from this past season that aren't so good this upcoming season, which is why you have the red pill, blue pill scenario. We'll get Connor's answer on it as well. 610-632-0975, the number for you to text in. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Wednesday morning, day one of the NBA draft here on 97.5 The Fanatic. We want to hear from by the fanatic in the red pill, blue pill conversation. Do you want the Sixers to do what other teams like the Boston Celtics are doing in the NBA right now, where they are making trades to help set them up for a year or two from now, especially with Jason Tatum out? The Celtics aren't the only team doing it, by the way.
And why are they doing it?
Because they think they're not going to win with the way that their roster is currently constructed.
Correct. And they've actually said it. Like, that's sort of we don't believe right now we've got to, without Tatum, they don't think they have a window to win, so they can now use this opportunity to retool now so that way they can ramp up when he's healthy.
Now, I will say the Derek White, Jaylen Brown thing's confusing to me. Like Porzingis and Drew Holiday, I totally understand.
I totally get that.
You got younger with the Holiday trade. I still understand why Portland gave up so much. And the Porzingis trade, I mean, the guy was barely healthy for you, so they were, and
now he's going to Atlanta, where I know he's going to fall apart. I know he's going to fall apart.
I thought of you when
I'm doing over-under Porzingis games right now. I'm saying if I said to you 34.5 right now, over-under games next year.
Over.
Oh, you're going over.
You know why?
Why?
Free agent after this year.
Oh, look at you.
Well, man, he's gonna call Paul George and say, "Hey, PG, how did you stay healthy magically for one season?"
Look at the big brain.
I want to get paid like you did.
Yeah, exactly.
So there were a lot of moves yesterday, and some guys just re-signed, like Kyrie Irving, 3-year extension with the Dallas Mavericks. There's other players that picked up contracts, like Chris Middleton. $33 million. Not going to turn it down.
I can't get over it.
You're not going to turn down $33 million.
Why should he? God bless America.
You're staying with the Wizards who stink. But the Wizards were active yesterday. The Wizards make a trade for C.J. McCollum, who's one of my favorite players that just gets hurt or he comes up small. Like, I like McCollum a lot. He's now going.
So do I.
This is the Washington Wizards are where careers go to die. So C.J. McCollum and Kelly Olynyk go to the Wizards. They traded with the Pelicans. The Pelicans get Jordan Poole and Sadiq Bey, who a lot of Sixers fans have been obsessed with over the years. Obviously, a lot of people keeping an eye on what the New Orleans Pelicans are doing because the Pelicans are one of these teams that the Sixers could potentially trade back with in the first round, get one of their younger players, and then still get their draft pick. The Brooklyn Nets were making moves yesterday.
They have 5 first-round picks now?
5 first-round picks the Brooklyn Nets have. What does that mean for Brooklyn? Are they going to draft 5 players? I doubt it.
Right.
Are they going to try to land somebody? I don't know what the Brooklyn Nets want to do.
I saw people last night saying, trade-up opportunity. Brooklyn trying to trade up because they love Ace Bailey.
Yes.
You know, Ace Bailey threw out the first pitch. Yeah, he threw out a first pitch the other day.
And by the way, he looks awful in that Mets jersey.
He does look terrible. But here's what I'm going to say to you is that why do you want to – the first pick the Nets have is 8th. So why would the Sixers be looking to trade with the Nets? Like, why would that be a deal?
Right.
You're not going 3 to 8.
No, maybe a team that's 5 or 6.
Right.
Maybe the Jazz go from 5 to 8.
You're not going 3 to 8 if you're the Sixers.
Right.
And you're like, why would you do that?
Yeah, but they have 5 first-round picks that they can – I imagine they're going to make some moves tonight. I mean, tonight's round 1. Round 1 only. Round 2 is tomorrow. So I imagine the Brooklyn Nets will be doing something with those 5 first-round picks. So there were a lot of moves yesterday before the NBA draft. And here's the thing. So coming up next – we're going to talk a little bit more about the 3rd overall pick because there are 2 players that are being mentioned the most when it comes to the Sixers. We all know about the Ace Bailey saga and the drama that's been kind of following him for 2 weeks now on his own doing.
Yeah, he's created it all. We won't be seeing Ace on NBA Jeopardy week.
Yeah.
I can tell you after seeing his interviews yesterday.
Yeah. So
what did he study at Rutgers?
You'll hear from Ace Bailey coming up next. You'll also hear from VJ Edgecombe, who is the other player that a lot of people have an eye on for the Sixers at 3. And they gave 2 totally different answers. Totally different.
I don't know.
So you'll hear from Ace Bailey and VJ Edgecombe coming up next. What the Sixers can do at 3, we'll talk more about because the NBA draft is tonight. You can text us what you want at 610-632-0975, but also this red pill, blue pill scenario. Do you want the Sixers to do what other teams are doing right now in the NBA, kind of cutting costs and sort of setting up for down the road, or do you look at this situation unfolding in the Eastern Conference and going, you know what? What the hell? Let me try it one more time. Sorry, Johnny. That's where I'm at. It's Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Draft night is here. I'm Connor Thomas, and it's draft night in the NBA. Tonight at 8 p.m., the draft will get going with the Sixers holding the number 3 overall pick. It's still unclear what the Sixers will do with that premium pick, even though early on it looked like Ace Bailey was going to be the guy that slotted in there. Bailey talked yesterday about his pre-draft process and controlling what he can control.
Does that upset you a little bit that people are kind of misconstruing you or getting a bad taste?
Everybody go feel how they feel. I'm controlling what I can control, and that's the basketball.
Now, it feels like he could probably control the pre-draft process as well, but we'll see what happens tonight. VJ Edgecombe out of Baylor is also a hot name for the Sixers at 3. Our coverage begins tonight at 6 p.m. The Phillies fell to the Astros 1-0 last night in a ridiculous pitching duel. Ranger Suarez went 7 2/3, 1 earned, but was outdueled by Framber Valdez in the Astros bullpen. The offense had just 4 hits in the game for the Phils. Game 2 is tonight at 8:10 p.m. as they look for a bounce back. Zach Wheeler's on the mound against Colton Gordon. We're going to talk to Adam Schefter of ESPN coming up at 7:55. This update is going to be brought to you by me at 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Connor Thomas, and you're listening to the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.
97.5 The Fanatic. All right, before we get to this audio from Ace Bailey and VJ Edgecombe, as the draft is tonight, first round, Sixers, of course, draft third overall. Connor, I'm curious, red pill, blue pill scenario. You have the choice. Daryl Morey calls you and says, this is what I'm going to do, whatever you want to do.
Hello, Daryl. How are you?
Do you want the Sixers to
Very formal.
move some of the contracts to think about down the road?
No, you're like, give me some specifics. So, Connors, I want both of you not wiggling. Are you talking about moving Embiid?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Doing what some of these other organizations.
You're moving Joel Embiid. Because let's face it, Jaylen Brown, I mean,
you're moving. You're moving Embiid.
That's a big name.
Yeah, you're moving Embiid, or you're
major player in the NBA.
Yeah, he's a guy who's actually won in the playoffs.
Right. He's an NBA he's an NBA Finals MVP.
Yeah, he has a ring.
So Joel Embiid is on the move. You're who knows? Could be both Embiid and Paul George for all we know.
Some sucker out there.
But Embiid's out, and you're making the money work for down the road, and you're just getting younger. Or you see what's going on in the Eastern Conference. You see that other teams are doing this, and you see that other teams are hampered by injuries, like the Pacers, where you go, I'm going to give it a shot. What are you doing?
I'm going all in. That's what I'm doing. I'm giving it a shot. Because I, don't know if I trust those moves to be made in the best interest of the team. Like, I don't know if I trust them to get the best possible return. Like, the moves they have made recently have not been stellar when you look across the board for the Philadelphia 76ers. So if I'm trusting them to completely rebuild this thing, Daryl Morey to me doesn't seem like a rebuilding GM or president of basketball operations. That's just not his forte in his career. And also, when I look at where the Sixers are at, I don't know. You could say all you want, dump salary. You do have to find trade partners for these guys. I do think that'll be somewhat difficult with Paul George and Joel Embiid. So at this point, I think the path of least resistance and the one that gets you closest is you try and play against the grain with what other teams are doing, and you try and win it this year.
Why are we trying to get closest? Like, why are we trying to play to some – what is the highest – give me both of you, and I need you both to be honest.
Okay.
What is the absolute ceiling? Knowing the Sixers roster, knowing healthy. Tell me in all honesty, what's the ceiling? That you believe if everything broke right for them,
if everything broke,
I'm going to give you both. They both play 58 games, and neither one of them suffers catastrophic injury.
Well, if neither one of them suffers catastrophic injuries, I feel comfortable saying the absolute ceiling is getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. Getting to. I'm not saying winning and then getting to the finals and then winning the NBA Finals.
I'm not gonna tell you you're outlandish with that.
And
Connie,
so,
you agree
but
with
how
that?
many times
with health, I'd go even higher.
Well, that's nuts.
Well, you're saying if they play 58 games, I don't expect them to.
Right.
No, but I'm saying if he gets there, is it they're.
But here's the deal. If they get to the Eastern Conference Finals, how many times have we said once you're one of the Final Four, you have a chance of...
Well, Indiana has shown that 2 years in a row.
Right.
They've gotten there close.
So if they can get to the Final Four, and I'm saying that's the ceiling, but who knows? Maybe Joel Embiid gets a hammer and breaks through the ceiling, and then they get to the NBA Finals. But
you know what he'd do? With the hammer, he'd break his own thumb.
But this is like, and look,
hammering.
Let's face it. For the people that are tuning in and hearing this conversation, this is the one shot. Like, if they don't win this year, I don't think, like...
No, there's no do it
all
next
these
year.
other teams are going to get better. So
How come I just hear the two of you, though, next year singing this same song and dance to me? Well... Embiid played 50 games, and he was sort of healthy, and in the second half of the year, he was looking much more like himself, and we won a first-round series in a weak East, and they played a really tough second-round series and lost in 7 games, so I think we give it one more shot.
No, if they lose, I can't do the second round again.
You swear?
Have you heard?
No. You swear to me? You two swear to me?
Well, as long as they can move Paul George and get better players.
No. You two swear to me? You'll do it next year? Because I think both of you, I want to poo-poo on what you said, but both of you make logical. And I think Connor's argument really sort of swayed me a little bit on the idea of that maybe it's this regime that I don't trust to be like the rebuilding.
Other than draft picks.
The rebuilding regime.
Because Daryl's done well with the
yeah, exactly.
As much as last year was the fault of their own signings, the guys they brought in The way they built the team, the age of the guys.
Last couple of years, it's been that way.
Yeah, but I mean, even just looking at last year.
Sure.
Right? Because my other point to this is you do have to kind of look at last year as an unfair opportunity for what this team could be. Right? That was nightmare scenario.
Yeah, last year was it's not an anomaly.
Right.
Because Joel Embiid's always hurt.
No, I know.
But it was and Paul George is always hurt.
But that was the nth degree of bad Sixers
terrible.
basketball.
Yeah, it was bad. And then Maxey gets hurt twice last year.
So I have to at least see, right?
Okay.
Knowing how difficult it would be to move off these contracts, I have to at least see a year where it's not everybody's dead. Maybe only one guy's dead. Maybe only two guys are half dead. But
so if Paul George, if the call comes tonight, and you can move Paul George.
Oh, he's gone.
Okay, but that plays against both of your scenarios.
I don't think it's coming.
It plays against both of your scenarios.
Hold on a second. It does not, because I don't think Paul George is the reason why they're trying to get to an NBA championship.
But wait a minute, though. Your chances.
I didn't like the move to begin with.
But wait a minute, though. Your chances of getting to where you both are talking about, because on the scenario I said is Paul George and Joel Embiid play healthy 58 games, and neither one of them suffers a catastrophic injury. Without Paul George, they're not as good a team.
Well, depending on who they get in this
they're not going to get
make-believe
somebody.
package.
You're not getting somebody. If you're getting Paul George, it's a salary dump.
Well,
You're not getting nobody's trading you a young, dynamic talent for Paul George.
Have you seen some of the moves that have been going on?
Not a young, dynamic.
Jalen Green was in a trade for Kevin Durant.
Here's the difference, though. Like, moving off Paul George is not a get under the second apron type of move.
Right.
It's a move off a bad contract move, which is outside of the
which ends up
conversation.
you end up getting spare parts and bubble gum.
Yeah, you know what? I'd probably still take those spare parts and bubble
but then
gum
that
over
works
waffle
flavor
for
bubble
another
gum.
year.
That works against, though, the scenario you guys are painting
Wintergreen.
of making a run at it.
Sold.
Because you're not doing it.
All right. We'll check our text line coming up here in a little bit.
Bad scenario.
610-632-0975.
But I liked your scenario. I like the chat of it.
Got to dream somehow.
Yeah.
All right. Yesterday, Ace Bailey and VJ Edgecombe both spoke to the media. A lot of the players that were going to be drafted tonight or are expected to be drafted tonight spoke to members of the media yesterday.
Two different press conferences.
Exactly, and that's why we'll play both of them here. Let's start with Ace Bailey. Here was Ace Bailey, and our buddy Keith Pompey, who joined the show just yesterday, is the one asking the question. Take a listen.
Since you're not working out for teams, people have been critical of you. I mean, but people who like you say they love you. Does that like upset you a little bit, or that people are kind of misconstruing you or getting bad taste?
Everybody go feel how they feel. I'm controlling what I can control, and that's the basketball.
I'm controlling what I can control. What the hell's he talking about?
You know what you can control?
Who he works out for.
It's not that hard, dude.
And by the way, again, agents work for you. I had an exchange with a couple of emailers yesterday about this going, this young man, he listens to his agent. His agent tells him what to do. I'm like, you don't understand how an agent works. An agent works for the player, not vice versa. And you hire an agent because an agent's going to tell you how to negotiate things and everything. The agent works for the player.
Yeah, by the way, the agent wants money. I saw this tweet from Fran Fraschilla yesterday, and you were talking about this yesterday. If Ace Bailey's agents are really trying to orchestrate a Brooklyn Nets scenario where he gets drafted 8th overall by the Nets, who just climbed up again, they have 5 first-round picks. Over the 3 years of that rookie contract, there's a $10 million difference.
Between going 3 and 6, or no, 3 and 8.
3 and 8. So
yes.
You don't think that maybe the agent would like those 10 mil?
What a stupid...
For whatever percentage that agent's getting?
By the way, in NBA standards on a rookie contract, that can be anywhere between... That would be anywhere between probably what? I'm trying to think of how much that would be. 40, 80 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand. I mean, it makes a difference in the extra money.
Yeah.
I'm just saying is that it makes no sense for the guy not to want to be drafted 3.
Yeah.
Any smart agent wants their player drafted as high as possible.
Yeah, this is an 18-year-old kid that might not be making good decisions for himself, and whatever advice he's getting is not getting good advice.
No, he's not getting good advice. And every time he talks, and I got to tell you, every time he talks, he may be costing himself money.
And by the way,
he's
Keith,
not coming off well.
I love you, Keith. Keith scoffed when I kind of brought that up yesterday. he then asks Ace Bailey the question that I sort of
Well,
asked.
he asked it because people like you are asking it. And by the way,
everybody that covers the NBA is asking it.
Yes, because everybody's asking
Everybody's
it.
confused as to why this is happening. What plan is this guy and his team taking? It looks like to me to go to a situation where he can be the guy on a bad basketball team.
And I have
no pressure.
Now, the thing is, to me, you see, you look at it differently than I do. I have no problem with him wanting to go to a bad team because I understand the demographics of I want to put up the numbers because that's the NBA game now. Put up the numbers in your first contract as best you can
and
to
hope.
be able to get and then hope that you can then move off the bad team.
Yeah.
That's the NBA game now, and the NBA created that. So I have no problem with Ace Bailey if that's his game. What doesn't make sense is you want to be drafted third.
Right.
And every time the young man opens his mouth, I got to tell you, Rutgers is not using that on their admission videos.
Now, the other...
It's not.
The other side of the coin.
It's not smart.
VJ Edgecombe, who the Sixers clearly love based off of the reports from a week or two ago when they flew Tyrese Maxey out. They met with him, and they said it was a great meeting. He was nervous in the workout is what the reports are coming out. But when they sat down with the kid, they really liked him. Here was VJ Edgecombe yesterday talking about the Sixers.
I think I'll be able to play off of them. They're great players. He's an MVP of the league. Paul George is a runner-up before, so I just feel like I just fit in well with them. And even Coach Nurse, he's a defensive-minded coach, and I feel like I play a lot of defense. Yeah.
I love the
just
fact
a totally different answer.
Well, I love the fact too that he has reasons for wanting to be here.
And he mentions defense.
Correct.
Right? Like, it's not I can control what I can control.
Man, he's just not. It's like two different young men talking, and their explanation and their understanding of what that they're coming into.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean, again, I don't want to draft Edgecombe necessarily at 3 and pay $50,000 for a car that costs $35,000.
Well, the same could be said about Ace Bailey, I think.
Well, Ace Bailey, other people want. I'm telling you, I'm just not doing it.
It's making me hard. It's making it hard for me to want Ace Bailey.
What?
Yeah.
Making it what? There you go.
Sometimes it slips.
Hey, we like draft night.
Sometimes I'm a big draft night fan. All right, coming up next, one of the biggest Ace Bailey fans spoke on his actions. Also, there's a little bit of buzz on a player that Amy Fadul really likes.
Oh, I like that. My ears are perked up.
That and text messages coming up next is Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic.
Ray Dunn, Mike Missanelli.
The Phillies are 34-2 when they have the lead after 6. They're 4.
All right, I have somebody speaking on Ace Bailey, who's a really big fan of Ace Bailey and is kind of disappointed on what's going on. Something that will make Amy Fadul happy. We'll check our text line. But before any of that, real quick, I was using the restroom during the commercial break, and as I'm washing my hands, I'm looking in the mirror, and I got the neck scruff is coming back, right?
Yeah, you're getting the neck beard thing is starting to be more prominent with you.
So, and that's what I've noticed.
It's age.
So, as a kid, I imagine the three of us and everybody listening that is a male, where you were excited the first time you started seeing like scruff on your face, right?
Yeah, of course.
Right? You're like, oh man, I'm becoming a man. I got a mustache, like pencil stash mustache.
8th grade, Connor?
7th or 8th, yeah.
7th or 8th?
Yeah.
My brother got sent home in 9th grade at O'Hara for
what?
not shaving.
Really?
Me? I was not shaving in 12th. Like I was not shaving.
Yeah.
I had to. I forced myself.
Well, you get the stubble.
Yeah, but I forced myself.
So, is there anything that when you are young that you were excited for that you then realize later on in life it wasn't all that great? Or you no longer no, but like I wanted the facial hair, right? Like I was like, oh my god, like I'm not like Ray Dunn or Jason Martinez who could like strain their face and a beard pops out because those guys are unreal. Like, have you ever seen Martinez?
Martinez
cleanly shaven and then it's back in like a week.
Dude, Martinez when he was a youngster, and I coached him when he was 16 through 18. Martinez like had a 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah, it was insane, and it's
as a
insane.
teenager.
Yeah,
but it was for me. It was dying for some point that I would have a chest hair.
Yeah.
At some point, would there ever be a hair on my chest?
And then you're like, oh man,
and then I hardly had
I
any.
gotta groom this thing.
I hardly had any. So I said never was an issue. So that was a big deal.
I really wanted facial hair.
Yeah.
And now it's like,
By the way, the neck thing is starting to though. It's a
I shaved on Monday. It's already back.
Yeah, and you don't. I never remember you being a neck beard guy.
No.
You look like Andrew Luck.
It's just
after a couple
it's
days.
all of a sudden forming.
There you go,
man. All right, Paul George, big Ace Bailey fan. He has spoken very highly of Ace Bailey on his podcast because the podcast is back. You know, now that the season is over.
That's great. He's all focused on it now.
Podcast P is back. I wonder if the season tips off, does the podcast go back on a hiatus? Probably not. So
because that's what he cares.
He's been very high on Ace Bailey. I think they have worked out before together. I'm not exactly sure what the ties are where he really likes him. Like, he talks about him a lot on his podcast. But in his latest episode, he spoke on the recent story surrounding Ace Bailey. Quote, if I'm Ace Bailey, I can't get mad if my stock drops. But he's canceled all workouts. He hasn't worked out for any team. You're not in a position to be making those demands. Make it to the league first. It's for sure the people around him. I don't know who's representing him, but I don't think they're going about it the right way. I appreciate that answer from Paul George because we're all saying it, right?
He's getting terrible advice.
Yeah, horrible advice.
And the young man yesterday put in front of a microphone to come with those answers, that's like malpractice.
Yeah.
That is really bad representation. He should have been coached up.
He should have been because he knew what questions were coming.
And because he's not good on his feet. He's not good speaking. So public speaking as far as on his feet. He's probably a very fine young man to just talk to and
absolutely.
everything. But when he's being pressed on something and he doesn't want to give you the real answer, he's 18 years old. He's not coached up on these things. He needed to be coached up on it. It's obviously that he wasn't.
Ed Wright on our YouTube chat said the player empowerment crap has now spilled into the draft. And we're starting to see it. I mean, we saw it last year with the first overall pick. We're seeing it this year now with the guy that was projected to be the third overall pick. Last year's first overall pick fell to 2. This year's projected third overall pick could fall to 8. And that's, as we read earlier from Fran Fraschilla, a $10 million difference. The other player to just sort of keep an eye on is Trey Johnson, who Amy has been talking about every single week when she's been coming in ever since, sort of the lottery happened when the Sixers got the third overall pick. That's been her guy, and there's been some more buzz around that yesterday. according to some of the NBA insiders. So just something to keep an eye on.
I mean, the part of representation is you're supposed to make sure that the person you represent looks their best at all times. And poor Ace is not getting represented well. And Edgecombe is obviously getting coached up really well about how to he's saying all the right things. He was coached up on how to talk about positively about the Sixers and how to talk about what's the great situation there and why do you want to be there and have those things. And I feel bad for Ace because he's probably a fine young man.
Yeah.
And he's just not getting good advice.
Yeah. The quote from one of the NBA insiders for Trey Johnson. Trey Johnson is starting to get increased buzz in recent days as an option for Philly, and it's easy to make the case that he has the most upside out of all these players because of his shooting ability. All right, what do we got in the text line, Connor? You can text the show at 610-632-0975. Draft night, what do you want to see the Sixers do? You can get on the record if you want. But also, our sort of main question, red pill, blue pill. You do what the other teams are doing right now, which is cost-cutting and trying to set up for down the road, or do you look at this Eastern Conference and you go, hey, this could be our last hurrah? Let's go for it. What are the people saying?
First texter here, no name on this one, but they say, easy choice, start over. We have over a decade's worth of data suggesting Embiid is not going to make it to the playoffs healthy or even stay healthy when he gets there. They should have started over after losing to Boston and traded Embiid to Portland when they had the 3rd overall pick and still had Dame.
Yeah, now we know. The interesting thing about this scenario, John, and I think the smarter one would be what you're answering, right? Which is trying to set up down the road.
Yes, it should be.
The thing is this team, again, it's the representation. We keep on talking about representation. The ownership group, do we believe that they will make the right decisions? I don't know.
No, well, the thing is, I think Connor swayed me a bit, though, on that, is that I look at Daryl Morey in a lot of ways. It's weird. It's like this. It's like the scales. And Daryl Morey, there's a lot of positives.
Yeah.
But the rebuild GM, he's not the guy I'm hiring to be the rebuild GM.
Well, he's never done it before.
Yeah, well, I don't think he wants to do it.
Right.
It's a job he doesn't want to do.
He made it very clear to Mike Missanelli that he's never been in this position before.
Right.
He's the most winningest exec in basketball right now. All right, coming up next, reset today's topics, but also Phillies started their series with the Astros last night. Fun game. They lose. Do we have a Ranger Suarez problem? I'm wondering where you're going at with this, Johnny. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Sixers almost on the clock. I'm Connor Thomas, and it's draft night in the NBA. Tonight at 8 p.m., the draft will get going. The Sixers have the number 3 overall pick. And we still have very little idea what the Sixers will do with that selection, even though early on it looked like a spot that could be for Rutgers star ace Bailey. Bailey talked yesterday about his pre-draft process and controlling what he can control.
Does that upset you a little bit that people are kind of misconstruing you or getting a bad taste?
Everybody gonna feel how they feel. I'm controlling what I can control, and that's the basketball.
So it seems like the comments about his pre-draft process have not bothered Bailey, but they may have bothered the Sixers. VJ Edgecombe out of Baylor is also a hot name for the Sixers at 3. Our coverage begins tonight at 6 p.m. The Phillies fell to the Astros 1-0 last night. If you like pitching, that was the game for you. Ranger Suarez went 7 2/3, only 1 earned, but he was outdueled by Framber Valdez and the Astros bullpen. Phil's offense had just 4 hits in the contest. But game 2 is tonight. Looking for a bounce back at 8:10 p.m. First pitch time. Zach Wheeler on the mound against Colton Gordon. We're going to talk to Adam Schefter of ESPN coming up at 7:55. This update's brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. The Mercedes-Benz Dream Days are back with offers on vehicles like the 2025 E-Class, CLE Coupe, C-Class, and EQE Sedan. Hurry in now through July 31st. Learn more at mbusa.com/dream. I'm Connor Thomas, and you're listening to the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5 TheFanatic.com.
Vacation? Business trip? Don't worry. You can still hear all your favorite Fanatic shows no matter...
to the Phillies to start the 7 o'clock hour. We'll check some of our text messages here momentarily at 610-632-0975 when it comes to our Sixers discussion. But real quick, just a couple of horrible things have happened in Major League Baseball recently.
Horrible. Okay.
Did you see what happened during the Diamondbacks game yesterday?
I did not.
So Ketel Marte, who I love, he's a
So do I.
hell of a player.
So do I. By the way, they're going to be sellers.
Yes.
It looks like. So.
And Corbin Carroll
They're not
getting,
selling Ketel Marte.
No, but, Corbin Carroll getting hurt, that's going to add to that fire of them selling players at the trade deadline. Ketel Marte, his mom passed away in 2017, and a fan was, heckling him.
You're kidding me.
I messaged your mom, and he broke down in tears.
That's horrible.
And his mom passed away in, I believe it was 2017. They're playing the White Sox, so they're in a stadium where there's not many people.
So you can hear it.
You can hear it. And it got to the point where they had to do, he was batting. He was breaking down in tears in the field. They had to call time, and their manager had to go out there and put his arm around. He was. You can watch the video.
See, that's where I'd love to see that fan. And look, fan got. And I know. There's one of our listeners who always will send me the email here. I would love to see him be able to go into the stands and go nose to nose.
Oh, and punch that person
and just
in the
beat
face.
the crap out of that person.
So
because there's enough people in this world that now behind keyboards, behind everything, have never been punched in the face because they feel like they can say anything to anyone at any time. They can be vicious, they can be nasty, they can be Billy Big Balls, but in person, they're cowards.
Yeah,
and they're little kittens.
Right,
and that's terrible.
And
that is a horrible.
So that fan got
thing.
ejected, and
that's horrible.
I hope we find out who that person is, I hope that person gets put on blast.
I told you before. People love Duke basketball.
Yes,
my buddy Joe Dugan the other day was golfing in Duke stuff. And I always look at people in Duke stuff, and I'm like, he had his Duke stuff on, and I'm like, okay. I said, I can't even Duke. I saw in Cameron, indoor stadium.
Yeah.
Took clients there when I was in the business world. It was we sat right next to the student section, and they hand out a sheet before the game
of all the things that you.
And it was Georgia Tech versus Duke, and they had a sheet made up for the students to harass the Georgia Tech's players.
Right.
And it included references to dead relatives, that they had done research. So here's what you say to their bench. Here's horrible. What you say to, and I'm like, and they were the most vile, disgusting
that's
student
horrible.
section. It was worse than anything I'd ever heard in the vet.
Yeah,
and I'm like, and people are like, boy, what a great atmosphere here at Duke.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
terrible.
It's disgusting.
And just last week, the Pirates and Tigers were playing in Detroit, Comerica Park.
Okay.
And a reliever, Dennis Santana for the Pirates, pointed out a fan, walked up to he was in the bullpen. You know how the Citizens Bank Park.
Yeah.
Same thing with Comerica Park. He actually jumped up and tried smacking the fan in the face. He got suspended 4 games for it.
But
we later found out that this person was saying racist stuff and talking about his dead father.
Okay, well, you can't do that.
I understand.
No. You can't. That's where, as a society, we need to step up and say enough's enough.
Yeah,
that's out of bounds. Enough's enough.
Yeah,
and it's just
I wish Santana had a clean shot on him. I understand a player gets suspended because he can't interact with the fans, but if you're going racist comments and then talking about your dead father.
We watched either a Dateline or one of those shows. I guess maybe like a week or two ago that we had DVR'd about the amount of kids that are getting just terribly harassed online.
Yeah,
college kids and high school kids that are getting harassed online. And there was a girl who accused a young man. She had been raped. And she decided to come out and accuse one of the star students of rape that had raped her. Mm-hmm. And it ends up that then 2 other kids joined her and said, yeah, it happened to me. And she was getting so cyberbullied and everything that 2 of the kids tried to kill themselves because they were getting texts and then they were having social media accounts that were bullying them.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm like, and there was a congressman that tried to push legislation to say, we should have social media. But we should have social media where people put their names on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Social media where your driver's license on it.
Yeah.
Where your social security number's on it. So anything you post online is tied to you.
Yeah.
Instead of these faceless accounts where the low legs of society.
Now these people aren't faceless people.
That's terrible.
And they're despicable.
But the thing is, though, we have too many people in society that sit there and listen to it and then don't do anything about it.
Right.
Like at a game that don't go to. It's easy to go to security and go, "Hey, this is going on."
Yeah.
You don't have to. If you don't even want to be the one that intervenes, you can intervene with security and go, "This is going on."
Right. All the boys that were probably with them were probably yucking it up, and
say, "Look,
they should all be."
Hey, this is what. Hey, let's do something about this.
Just horrible. You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPN, WPN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. I just want people to be nice people. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard. It's not hard to look. It's great to disagree. It's great to have social discourse and everything like that.
I think that's important.
It's not hard to not be a disgusting turd.
And there's disgusting turds.
Yeah, it's not
going
hard.
To baseball
it's not
games,
hard
apparently.
not to be.
All right, give us one more text message, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Phillies game from yesterday. And that's going to open up a big baseball discussion the 7 o'clock hour because there was a great article on trade pieces that we'll get into later on this hour. But what do we got on the Sixers, Connor?
Brian from New Jersey says it's way too early to have people's blood boiling with this conversation, but I agree with John. JoJo has to go. Nothing personal. It's business at this point.
It's business. It's not. Look, it's a terrible shame what's happened to Joel Embiid. Now, the last year, I'm out on that.
Yeah, it's on him.
The last year is on him. But I feel horrible for the way that his career has gone health-wise. And some of it is his doing, but a lot of it is not. Getting your broken orbital bones at the most critical times. Doc Rivers having you in a game that you didn't need to be in the playoffs in Toronto was just, there are stupid things that happened to him, and I feel terrible for him. But I also am not going to continue to cling and double down and go, well, this might be the year. This might be the year. It's not. It's not. And to me, I want to get on with what could be the future. And I see other smart organizations doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if they get on with Paul George, if they found a way to get off the Paul George contract and be able to do some other things, then I'd be fine with keeping Joel Embiid this year. I'd be fine with it because I do believe this too. If you were able to move off the Paul George contract somehow and get a bunch of spare parts and you take on some bad contracts and things like that, and then Joel Embiid goes out and shows this year that he could be healthy, then he's turning into his next contract. He has his 3-year extension coming up. You could move him if you decided that that's what you want to do.
Sad thing is there's like no buzz for the Paul George thing.
No, none at all. Because everybody knows what he is. Everybody knows he's not motivated to play basketball. Unfortunately.
Oh, man. All right.
Unfortunately.
Phillies lost yesterday 1-0 to the Houston Astros. Incredible pitching matchup. We talked about it yesterday morning. Suarez, Framber Valdez was going to be a great outing.
What a great game.
The third game of this series is going to be another great pitching matchup. But yesterday was incredible and, another playoff-like feel, right? We had it with the Mets.
It was awesome, and you had him. And you and I both love those games. Connor, I'm sorry I don't remember where you fall on these kind of things. Like, to me, last night was that's classic. I don't want that every night, but that's like classic baseball theater to me.
Yeah, man, I love it, especially 8:10 p.m. first pitch.
And then it flies, and I'm going to bed at 10:15?
6:45, score some runs. 8:10, 1-0. I'd like the Phillies to win. But
and you had a podcast to get out and stuff like that, so it's tough.
No, I do like that type. And here's the thing. For everyone mad about the Phillies offense, there are certain things with the approach last night we're going to talk about that need to be better and have been better at points this year. But at some point, you tip your cap to Framber Valdez and say, that dude diced. Their bullpen's good.
They had him on the ropes so many times.
They needed to cash in.
You can win with that lineup every once in a while, like you did on Sunday.
That too.
What is that lineup last night?
It was the righty-heavy lineup against a left-handed pitcher.
Yeah, but come on.
And it's quad A players.
You just that lineup looked like, honestly, Connor, that was your beer league softball team.
Otto Kemp, Edmundo Sosa, Buddy Kennedy, Johan Rojas. Sosa had a nice day yesterday with 2 hits, but
I love watching Sosa's enthusiasm.
But they had their best moment was the second and third with 1 out, and you're turning to Buddy Kennedy
Oh my God! And then you're letting Buddy Kennedy bat at the end too.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
And then Johan Rojas flies out, and I think that was was it the fourth or fifth inning when it was
the fifth. I think it was the fifth.
They had second and third,
and it was weak.
And Kemp's going on contact. I don't blame him because you have Buddy Kennedy up to bat, and then Rojas is up on deck.
But if we're talking about Rojas today, I'm going to talk about 1 for 14. Schwarber, Bohm, Real Muto, Turner.
Oh yeah,
1 for 14. I don't need to talk about the 9-hole hitter.
No, I got you.
When the 4 guys who are being paid big money are 1 for 14.
Yeah,
like that's they couldn't come through. They couldn't get their job done. But it's just that was a quad A lineup, and you're going up against that pitcher at that time.
Yeah,
too cute. And Rob, I don't know what that 9th inning was. Like, what are you doing? And even Tom and God, who was doing the color? Ruben. They're going in the 9th inning, like expecting, so Buddy Kennedy's going to come up. He's going to get the at bat, and you could hear it in their voices, like, oh, so Buddy Kennedy's going to get the at bat.
Now my question is, who would you have put in? It's haters.
Can I say anybody? Can I say any? How about this? Can I say any major league player?
Well, your options are Stott, Kepler, or Marsh.
Can I say any major league player?
And this catcher.
Rafael
Marchand.
Yeah.
Can I say any major league player?
Stott, Kepler, and Marsh. I say again.
Yeah.
I would give anyone. I would take any one of them. Yes.
Just for a better at bat.
Just to have a better at bat. That Buddy Kennedy's a nice story. I don't want him in that situation, and you can hear it where they're like, Like what, Rob?
Yeah.
Hello,
yeah,
Rob.
This is why you need to write that.
Rob, could we?
Yeah, that's why. That's why you can't have Max Kepler as your offseason addition.
You can't have that. But more importantly, you've got those other guys. You have to lose with one of those guys.
What? See, once again, you go Rob. I go Dom.
No, you're right. But wait, you have those options on your bench. You have to. They literally, they're on the broadcast going, Buddy Kennedy's
you have those options that you can't play against left-handed pitching.
Buddy Kennedy's going to get the at-bat? Yes, you can. You can put any one of them up there instead of Buddy Kennedy. Any one of them that situation.
It would have been real fun to watch those guys strike out
my
3
God.
pitches.
Stop. Buddy Kennedy, stop it.
I'm not sitting here saying I'm glad it was Buddy Kennedy that had the opportunity. I'm just saying you pitch it for one of those lefties.
They all would have had a better opportunity than Buddy Kennedy in that situation.
Yeah, I hear you. They are big leaguers. All right, coming up next, a Ranger Suarez discussion that you want to have. Also, how many moves do the Phillies logically need to make to get back to being World Series contenders? We'll talk about that as well. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Ricky Bo, Bill Colarulo.
Look, you got the professional athlete.
degrees outside.
Oh my gosh.
I figured I'd check how
That's
warm
cooler
it
than
is.
yesterday, though.
Yes, at this time yesterday.
Because it was nasty yesterday.
Still getting up to a high of 96, though, today.
Now, you realize that yesterday, Connor, you, Gunner, who's under the weather today, were all in diapers the last time it was as hot as it was yesterday.
Really?
Adam Joseph said yesterday, 31 years.
Amazing.
31 years.
Wasn't born yet then.
Since it's been, so you weren't even born.
No, I'm 30.
Yeah, you're 30.
Yeah.
You were in diapers, and that's how hot it was yesterday.
Yeah.
That is so
I liked it. It was nice. I walked around a little bit.
It was nasty. Now, my wife,
I went for a run yesterday.
Now, my wife,
Not
obviously,
smart, but I did.
born in an island paradise,
A little different.
and then immigrated to Miami, and then lived in Atlanta. She's like, "How soft have you gotten?" She goes, "Do you not remember living in Atlanta?" She goes, "This isn't that bad today." And I went outside, and I'm like, "Okay, it's not as bad as it seems."
Yeah, it was
but it
hot.
still felt terrible.
It was hot.
It felt terrible.
When you walk outside and you take that first inhale, and it's just like,
Oh, it was terrible.
it sucks.
You
I
did
love
not.
it.
You did not run though. Yesterday.
I did run
You
yesterday.
did run yesterday.
Yeah, I did a mile and a half.
Psychopath.
Usually 4 miles. I did a mile and a half, and I called
Okay.
it quits yesterday.
But you did Franklin Institute. Which
I did, and
That's
we'll
good.
get into that later on today as well. Because there's just, as time goes on, things can be funny. So I'll just say it. They have a sports area
Yeah.
where they do, this is, if you did a belly flop, this is how it works going through the water versus a dive. It's all educational, right?
Sure.
But they also have like a 40-yard dash for the kids to do.
Okay.
And you go up against, they had the Philly Fanatic. They had somebody in a wheelchair. They had an Olympic sprinter. And they had Jordan Matthews.
Oh, love that.
As the Eagle that you could run against. And I was like, that's so random. But at a time, he was a big touchdown guy here because that's the only person Carson liked, him and Zach Ertz. All right, Johnny, what's this Ranger Suarez thing that you want to talk about?
We got a Ranger Suarez problem, guys.
What is that?
And it can either be, and the one thing is that it's on a group text with my Phillies friends last night, not you guys, but still friends. I bring up the discussion. It is I can't tell if it's a good problem or a bad problem. Where you're sitting with Ranger Suarez right now, do you believe the Phillies have a Ranger Suarez good problem or bad problem to have? His contract's done at the end of the year.
Yeah.
He's going to walk away. You're going to get nothing for him. Or somehow all of a sudden they're going to change direction and decide to sign him, which they have shown no indication that they're going to. Do you consider that a good problem or a bad problem to have? Because he's going to walk away and get nothing. Or, as last night, texting with some of my friends, they're believing you could get significant talent.
If you made a trade.
Yes.
Look, you have a window. I'm not trading him away.
So you're taking one shot at it with Ranger Suarez.
Yeah. I mean, I've been saying it since spring training that I think this is the last hurrah with this group. A lot of the guys in this group. And Ranger Suarez is included in that. Now, I haven't really thought about it. Life after Ranger Suarez.
It's coming.
It is. It's going to happen. But if I can have a guy so motivated for life-changing money, not only for him, but his entire family, hey, buckle up. Because if he wants to get paid, he's already getting a decent contract for what he's been able to show. But let's say he has another back issue, right?
Right.
And that flares up. Teams might not give as much. If he continues to pitch like this, and not like this, one run. Like, if he continues to pitch as a top of the rotation guy, he's going to get paid big money. And if I can have that motivation going into the playoffs.
You're saying I'm taking the one shot with Ranger Suarez, getting nothing for him.
And then when he gets the big contract, first time he comes back to Philadelphia.
Oh, no. Yeah. What?
The whole Jason Worth thing was nonsense. A lot of you hated Jason Worth for no reason.
Nothing but love for him. And more importantly, remember, the organization had the opportunity. Here's Christopher Sanchez. Here's Ranger Suarez. They chose Christopher Sanchez to be their beloved child.
Yeah.
And good choice, by the way. Christopher Sanchez is awesome.
I don't think he could have gone wrong. Yeah.
And so they chose Christopher, so you better not blame Ranger. if he goes elsewhere to get his payday.
No.
Yeah.
Connor, but you're okay with getting nothing for him. And I want to hear about the draft pick, by the way.
Yeah.
Because the draft picks tend to not work out more than they do.
I'm not only okay with it, it's your only option. You can't trade him. You cannot move on from a guy that's throwing like this in a year where you're looking to win the World Series. I had someone, there were mad people tweeting at me last night because I tweeted out about Ranger Suarez, and this is why you can't trade him, and he's not moving. And everyone's like, well, you're going to get no value for him. I'm like, is World Series no value? Is a World Series nothing? Because that's what the goal is to accomplish. We're not here to sell, all right? I don't care about retooling stuff around because you can get a bat. I want the strength of this team to be the rotation. And Ranger Suarez is a big part of that. By the way, nails in the postseason. He's not just this guy that, Jesus Luzardo, he's had a great regular season, but in the postseason, we'll see what he looks like in those moments. You need Ranger if you're going to compete for a World Series.
Okay, tell us about. Now, here's where I'm going to push you on that. What's your rotation in the postseason? You only need 3.
Yeah.
And you have a 4th pitcher that pitches occasionally.
Well,
Starter.
It's Wheeler. You can go 4.
You can get, but you're not going for. If you're a division winner, you're going to use 4. You might use 4 in the first series.
2022, you used what? Syndergaard twice and Falter once. So you used them
because
3 times.
you were in the wild card though.
Okay.
If you're not if you're a division winner, you're going to most likely be using just a 4. You'll use a 4 once in the NLCS, once in the World Series. Once in NLCS, one in World Series.
Oh, good thing you can use him out of the pen, too.
So what would you? Who's your starting rotation in the postseason right now? And I know this can change. This isn't set in stone.
I mean, right now,
if
the
I
way
said
he's
to you
pitching,
right now,
it's Wheeler Suarez, and then
Luzardo.
So Christopher Sanchez isn't pitching?
Sanchez will be that 4th guy, I guess. He's also
3 lefties.
We forget.
That's 3 lefties?
What do you mean? No, Wheeler's righty.
No, but I
3
mean the
lefties.
What?
Suarez, Sanchez, Luzardo.
Right, no,
3
that
lefties.
Sanchez in the pen is what we're talking about here.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. I get what you're saying, and I totally understand it. But I do believe also, with some of the names that are out there, and some of the teams looking for starting pitching, I believe also you could get a long-term solution at center field. A long-term solution at left field.
Okay, so you get a long-term.
That's something that would be here more than 1 year and something that could potentially still help you win a World Series this year.
Then Schwarber walks and JT walks and you don't have a catcher and a DH, and all of a sudden that long-term is waiting a couple years to compete.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the end of JT.
I
love JT. I'm okay.
But I think it's okay.
I'm just saying this is your shot with this core. Yeah. You can't trade Ranger.
All right, coming up next, speaking of trades, Jeff Passan, who's one of the best MLB insiders there is, put together a huge article of players that could be available come trade deadline. He put percentage chances and everything. We have the players where the Phillies were mentioned. We'll go through those with you coming up next. We'll check our text messages on the Sixers. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A big choice for the Sixers. I'm Connor Thomas, and it's draft night in the NBA. Tonight at 8 p.m., the draft is going to get going. The Sixers have the number 3 overall pick, and, well, it's pretty clear what's happening at 1 and 2. It seems like it's going to be Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, and then what do the Sixers do? Who knows? We don't even know yet at this point. Ace Bailey was initially thought to be the pick at 3, but he canceled his workout with the Sixers and has had a weird pre-draft process. So he was asked yesterday by Keith Pompey about that and how it's affecting him.
Does that upset you a little bit that people are kind of misconstruing you or getting a bad taste?
Everybody go feel how they feel. I'm controlling what I can control, and that's the basketball.
There are other players that the Sixers could look at 3, like Trey Johnson or VJ Edgecombe, but we'll keep you updated as we get closer to the draft tonight. Our coverage begins at 6 p.m. Phillies fell to the Astros 1-0 last night. It was a great pitching matchup. Ranger Suarez went 7 2/3, 1 earned, but is outdueled by Framber Valdez and the Astros bullpen. The offense had just 4 hits in the game for the Phils. Game 2 is tonight at 8:10 p.m. Zach Wheeler versus Colton Gordon. We'll talk to Adam Schefter coming up at 7:55. This update is brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today. I'm Connor Thomas, and you're listening to the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Let's get a text message before we get to this big deep dive that Jeff Passan did with all the players that could be available with the MLB trade deadline. He put percentage chances and everything, which he says in his article could change. If a team gets hot, obviously those percentage chances go down. If a team starts to plummet, obviously those percentage chances begin to go up. But I have the players that have been mentioned with the Phillies. We'll go through that comp in a little bit. But obviously NBA draft is tonight. So we've been talking about the Sixers. There's been a lot of moves in the NBA, and the Boston Celtics are looking to cut salary to try to hope to kind of regroup, especially after Jason Tatum comes back. And the question is, would you want the Sixers to do something like that? At this point, being the day before, or the day of the NBA draft, it's not going to happen, but we're just having one of those conversations. Do you wish that the Sixers would have gone about that route? Or the other option is go all in because these other teams are doing it. This might be your best chance of winning. And, of course, the big if is if they're healthy. And that's why yesterday...
Which is the stupidest question to ask with the Sixers,
like,
honestly.
I can't... Like, yesterday, that's why I wasn't on the same level as Bill. Like, Bill was so hopeful. You were so hopeful. Not hopeful as Bill.
I'm willing to
you weren't doing drugs.
I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt to being optimistic to things, but the idea of... I'll only take it to a certain level. If people start talking to me about this team could compete for a title,
yeah,
it's just now you're entering into la la land.
Yeah, but we're going to be mad either way. I'm just going to think happy thoughts until I'm forced to think the sad ones.
Right, exactly. All right, what do we got on the text line?
Steve checks in and says Daryl Morey has to try and win a title because I don't know if his job is safe this upcoming season, especially if the Sixers start losing to start the season.
Yeah, Daryl Morey might have to. Again, the question is, what do you want? But yes, Daryl Morey, for him to try to keep his job, which again, I'm still stunned he did after how this season played out. And it was just bad. Being okay with Joel Embiid ramping up, signing and aging Paul George, signing and aging everybody.
Well, they got screwed because of the fact that Joel Embiid screwed them.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. They had no control over Joel Embiid, and Joel Embiid screwed.
Were you shocked that Paul George got hurt?
No, but they got the organization got screwed over by Joel Embiid.
Sure.
And that's bottom line. And nobody wants to say it, but
all the other moves, all the 40-year-olds that he signed that couldn't stay healthy, were you surprised?
No.
Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon, Reggie Jackson.
I'm going to say this to you. Do you think they shut down Tyrese Maxey if Joel Embiid is healthy?
I do not believe
Do you think Paul George is more motivated to play if Joel Embiid's healthy?
I don't know if Paul George is really all that motivated.
I think Paul George plays more if Joel Embiid's healthy.
Okay.
I agree with you.
I think Joel Embiid, his selfishness
led to everybody getting shut down. I got you.
Yep.
All right. So yesterday, Jeff Passan, big deep dive on ESPN. I have the players where the Phillies are mentioned. So he had 50 players, and of course the Phillies aren't mentioned to all 50, but the Phillies are mentioned with a lot of them. And again, the article it makes sense for him. It's not necessarily what he is hearing in terms of this specific player is a target, but he knows that the Phillies need relievers. He knows that the Phillies need a center fielder. These are the relievers and center fielders or outfielders that could be available. We're going to give you the teams that could go after them. And so these are the players that the Phillies are attached to. Do you want to start with the outfield or do you want to start with the relievers? All right, outfield. Jaron Duran of the Boston Red Sox.
Okay, you got my attention.
Is one of the first players that he mentioned.
You got my attention. Connor?
Yeah.
He's
a nice player.
He's a nice player.
Nice players. Huge upgrade over what you got.
Cedric Mullins, obviously a name that has been popping up a lot in conversations.
No.
Luis Robert Jr.
No.
A player that's obviously been popping up a lot.
You've already got those two guys on the roster, and you got two of them.
Taylor Ward, who our own Ray Dunn. Maybe Ray Dunn's onto something.
Ray Dunn, bright young broadcaster.
And that's the right-handed pop bat. Now, he's a corner outfielder. He's not playing center field for you.
I'd be okay with that because I still think it would be an upgrade because it's an upgrade.
Now, this one's an interesting name. And it's not one that I really have thought about at all. He brings up Adolis Garcia, who is a World Series champion. He was on that Texas Rangers team.
What's he hitting, like 220?
He's hitting 233 and only has 9 home runs.
Yeah, his power...
In a very hitter-friendly ballpark.
His power is not the same. Nah. I'll pass.
So previously with the Rangers, 25 home runs last year, 39 the year before that, 27 the year before that, 31 the year before that.
Nah.
He is a tremendous outfielder.
Here's
the problem. He plays right field.
Correct.
So is he coming in and playing left? Are you moving Castellanos over to left?
Well, Casti can play left. He could play left. That's not a problem. You can play. If you can play right, you can play left.
Not as easy as you make it out to be. The angles are completely different with the ball off the bat.
Okay, he can still play left. You can get if you can.
We saw Max Kepler go from left to right for one game and make an error.
If you can stick, people out there like you can say, "Hey Sosa, play left." Hey, we're going to stick. We're going to stick Otto Kemp, play left. You absolutely can play Castellanos and left.
Yeah, you can.
And not even. I'm just saying, not even give it a second thought. If you can do that with other guys,
it's not as like.
We play this organization won World Series with horrible defensive left fielders. Horrible defense in left field. They could absolutely survive with Nick Castellanos in left.
I'm sure they could survive.
Not a problem. It's not a problem.
It's easy as you make it out.
The two World Series they won, they had horrible defense in left field. This organization.
They moved Bruntlett out there to fill in for Burrow.
Please.
All right. The other names on this list are all pitchers, relievers, because obviously they don't need starters and they don't need anybody in the infield. Johan Duran. I don't know how much that's going to cost you.
Pay it. I don't care. I want him so bad.
I don't know how much that's going to cost you.
I don't think that. Is he really available? What do they have the percentages on availability?
Let me find that one for you.
Because I would agree with Connor. Is what would and you know what? It would maybe get me to waver on my idea about picking up the phone.
Yeah, could you imagine like Kirkering as your setup?
They have a 40% chance for him to be traded.
Okay,
he plays for the Twins again. In case people are wondering,
the thing is, though,
they're
Twins,
5 games under 500.
Yeah. Oh wow.
The Twins stink. The Twins always stink. They're always supposed to win their division. They freaking suck. It's a horrible organization. And I laugh at them every single year. Anyways, so they have him. I just don't know how much that's going to cost you. Like we've been talking about Mason Miller and how much that could cost you. Dude, I don't know, but we'll see. Emmanuel Clase from the Guardians, he's been struggling this year, but he's a guy that's had a lot of success in the past. Felix Bautista, a name that we've mentioned a lot on this show, that could be the Bautista-Mullins package where you get both
Mullins
of them.
At all.
All right, yeah, but if it's part of the package. Pete Fairbanks, reliever with the Rays, another tremendous pitcher. And then a name that has been popping up for a long time with the Phillies, Ryan Helsley.
Okay,
is on that list as well.
Yeah, but why would they do that? They're in the mix for the postseason.
That's the confusing thing.
They're not trading him. What's the percentage on Helsley?
The percentage on Helsley.
Why would they be trading him? They're right there in the playoff mix.
30% chance for Helsley, 30% chance also for Nolan Arenado, by the way. Unless they just think it's toward the end. I don't know what.
Remember, we just had a conversation about trading Ranger Suarez.
Right. If there's a team, like let's say they needed. Let's say the Cardinals go, hey, give us Ranger Suarez for Ryan Helsley and Nolan Arenado. I'd be intrigued. I'm trying to see what his contract is because that could also play a factor. Oh, he's got a 1-year deal. That plays the factor. Maybe they think he's not coming back after this year.
That could be, but still, why would you do that? You have a chance to win this year. You have a chance to go to the postseason. No. St. Louis cares too much about making the postseason.
But his name's been mentioned a lot, not just by like fans, like by, top guys in Major League Baseball, like a Jeff Passan. So those are the names that he has on there. Obviously, some percentage chances higher than others for actually being traded. Like I imagine Luis Robert is higher on this list in terms of percentage.
Who's trading for Luis Robert?
Well, if it's costing you nothing, not like last year. His percentage chance is 90%.
Yeah, because he's horrible. Like, I mean, why would you trade for him? Did they put Brandon Marsh on that list?
No.
Did they put Johan Rojas on that list?
No.
Because Johan Rojas and Brandon Marsh are the same player as Luis Robert. He's terrible. Like, I mean, he's a horrible player.
Yeah, but he's on the White Sox, so some team is going to take a flyer on him
and
for
say,
nothing.
Let's give it a shot. We can trade nothing for this guy at this point.
He's so bad. It's not worth it. It is not worth it at all.
For a bag of balls?
Not worth it.
Not for the Phillies.
Because he's not an upgrade for the Phillies. He's not an upgrade over what you got. I don't know what team would he be an upgrade for. The Phillies have the worst center field situation in baseball. What team would he be an upgrade for?
There are some other like middle of the pack wild card trying teams that would take
that
a shot
are
on
worse
him.
off in center field than the
For a
Phillies?
bag of balls, why not?
Yeah, but I don't know who he'd be taking playing time from. He's atrocious. I mean, he's terrible. He's
Been
a
a
terrible
bad
player.
year and a half. Absolutely. So those are the names that Jeff Passan has where the Phillies could be the team that targets those players. So just something to keep
I
an
like
eye
that.
on.
I like the idea, though. Boy, that Twins. Hey, let's have the Twins lose like 5 out of 7.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yes.
Because he's a stud. I mean, just fires 102 whenever he wants. ERA's 1.78 this year. Dave Dombrowski probably would not re-sign him.
I'm telling you. Now I'm thinking Twins. Now I'm watching the Twins. My friend Audra is their like sideline. She's their sideline person. She's their Taryn Hatcher. I'm gonna get Audrey. Let's have some bad losses.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
A week of bad losses.
That'd be nice. All right, coming up next, the Sixers, as we talk about the NBA draft still, are in a kind of a weird spot with this 3rd overall pick. That's a weird thing to say, being that you're the 3rd overall pick, but one top college analyst adds to that point. It's Kincade Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philadelphia Union Soccer.
Clear by Milagro, right over the plate.
Thursday morning, so don't forget Adam Schefter joins us for his weekly hit coming up at 7:55. I just saw a video of Shefty interviewing Robert Kraft because Shefty was at the Fanatics Fest.
Oh, he wasn't at a massage parlor.
No.
Good.
No, it was at the
He was at the
Fanatics
Fanatics Fest, which
Yes.
is a big event.
Huge event.
We should get invited to that.
Considering we are 97.5 the Fanatic, that would make sense.
I think we should get invited to that.
And, we had former ties with Michael Rubin. I don't know why we weren't
why
there.
would we should be invited there? We could set up a table, broadcast from there. It'd be a lot of fun. I mean that'd be a fun place to broadcast from. Did you see the first pitch? We were just talking about Connor. Did you see the first pitch, Ace Bailey, last night for the Mets?
I didn't see it.
At the Mets game, he threw out the first pitch. Not a bad first pitch. Not a great one, but not a bad one.
Better than a lot of the people at Fanatics Fest. If you saw those
Well, yeah,
videos.
Joe Burrow, you don't want throwing out a first pitch.
Ooh.
Looked like he never threw in his life. The jorts. What's your position on the knee-length jorts?
Out.
Yeah, not for me.
I can't believe it.
Never been in, never will be in.
No, they never were
Out.
in. Now, down south, you always found them around the University of Florida.
Yeah.
University of Florida was big in the jorts.
My dad was 100% a jort guy when I was
No,
a
he
kid.
wasn't. Was he really?
If I'm not wrong, I'm pretty sure my dad was a jort guy.
Jorts?
Yeah, I'm anti-jort.
No, jorts are terrible.
I'm not anti-jort, but I'm anti the long jort.
I barely wear jeans.
By the way, he's wearing the long jorts that literally are touching his kneecaps, that are made up like cargo shorts jorts, which are even a worse look.
Yeah, I'm anti.
Come on, Ace.
It does.
Ace is getting bad advice from a lot of different angles.
Haley checks in. She likes them on guys.
Oh my gosh, Haley.
So if you're
She did go to West Virginia.
if you're a jort,
Yeah,
if you're a
exact-
jort wearer,
I figured it out.
Haley's available.
Haley, Haley, there's so much going on here. I mean, look, we can get Dr. Phil on someday. Look, summer's a little slow.
Yeah, sure.
We get Dr. Phil on someday just to work with Haley. Give her a little advice. What happened to you? What is going on, young lady? Because something's wrong.
Oh boy, you just said not much goes on during the summer. You're wrong.
What's that?
It just happened again.
What happened again?
The latest Ben Simmons in the gym.
Hell yeah.
shooting
No, he
video.
didn't.
I just saw
No,
it.
he didn't.
Pulling up from 3, top of the key, bang. I just watching it right now.
Does
This is the
word
year.
does the word in the lab? Remember how it always would
It was
have.
always in the lab.
I'm
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
lab. Always in the lab.
Yeah.
lost, it sucks.
And I remember how offensive it was because he was doing that stuff like during COVID when there were people literally in a lab trying to like figure out how to stop this thing. And here's Ben Simmons going, I'm in a lab trying to work on my 3-point shot that I'm not going to ever use in a game.
What's going on with?
Oh, Ben Simmons. He's still
Crazy.
he's still in the league. All right. So yesterday, Jay Billis was on with John Clark on the Taking Off podcast. And Jay Billis is one of the best college basketball minds there are.
He is.
And he, he holds no punches. He's a straight shooter when it comes to his evaluation of players. Here he was telling John Clark the weird situation, the difficult situation the Sixers are in with the 3rd overall pick and Ace Bailey.
He could be this huge Grand Slam home run. If you don't take him, you look bad because you passed up on him. And then if you take him and he doesn't realize on that potential, you look bad because people were pointing some of these things out now. But he's got the highest ceiling of players that'll be available at number 3.
So I know you're talking about the hold him hostage thing for a trade. If you hear a guy like Jay Billis saying he's got the highest ceiling, do you go, I don't care what you want, we're drafting you anyway?
I do. All right, what did we say? How long are you gonna? How many times? We're all saying, do we expect the Sixers to be drafting 3rd again anytime soon?
Nope.
No. They got lucky with this.
So what is the
climbing
goal?
up.
So what is the goal when you have the 3rd pick?
Get the best player you can get.
Correct. If he's the 3rd player on your board, you draft him. Period. What would Howie say? Draft the best player available at the pick. Period. So why are we making this complicated? Now, if you don't want the player, you draft the best player available and then let it cook. In the NBA, you let it cook. And teams are literally playing their cards for you publicly. I mean, come on. They're playing their cards publicly. They're letting it be known that they want him. So let it be known. Go for it. See what they would give you.
It's just such a weird spot because if they did do that, right, they drafted him, and they're going, I don't care. You're playing for us. And it blows up. Then it's the same thing going, man, the red flags were there. That's the tough spot with Ace Bailey and the Sixers with the third pick. You're either maybe overdrafting a player, not Ace Bailey, like let's say
exactly
VJ Edgecombe, right? Even though overdrafting might be like a pick or two, but you're overdrafting because you don't want Ace Bailey because Ace Bailey doesn't want you, or you're drafting Ace Bailey saying, screw it, we're going to try to make this work. And if it ends up blowing up in their face because of all these red flags that we're seeing sort of pop up over the last couple of weeks, then that's another. Like, what are you gonna? It's almost like a lose-lose situation.
Sounds like you're pro trade back.
I've always been pro trade back.
I'm just making sure you restate it. Yes. I'm not disagreeing with you necessarily.
I've been saying it for a month. Ever since the third pick came out, I was saying it.
Right, but we haven't gotten that from you yet today.
Howie would tell you every single time to take the best player available. Every single time. That's exactly what he would tell you at any one of his pre-draft press conferences and everything. He would not tell you to draft the sixth best guy, the fifth best guy.
Right.
He wouldn't even tell you to draft the best fit. He would tell you to take the best guy available.
Like Jahad Campbell.
There you go. That's what you do.
They had as a first-round talent, and he fell to the end of the first round because the Eagles won the Super Bowl. That's why they were at the end. All right, what do we got in the text line, Connor, at 610-632-0975?
Okay. We've got a check-in here from Big Leo, who says, feels like Boston, the Celtics, are doing what the Eagles did with the defense. Get rid of older, expensive players, bring in younger, cheaper players for a better future. Sixers have to hope for Embiid and George to work for at least 1 or 2 seasons to trade them, and then bring in young players. You can't do it right now.
So he wants them to Leo. Was it Leo you said?
Big Leo.
Big Leo.
Big Leo.
Sorry.
As
Big
opposed
Leo.
to Little Leo.
Yeah,
Little Leo listens too.
We appreciate all of our listeners.
Thank all the Leos
both
that
big
listen.
and small. But Big Leo is saying go for it. And that's where I'm at. Even though I don't feel great about it, like, let me make it clear. I'm not sitting here going, this is the year.
I got you.
Go Sixers.
Well, then you're just saying stay with the course just to try to get some cosmetic win that doesn't matter?
I'm putting down a 16-leg parlay, Johnny.
Oh, my God.
I played poker. Andrew's pot committed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Damn right I am.
I'd rather play blackjack.
Coming up next, our man Adam Schefter joins us here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Sixers Selection Day. I'm Connor Thomas, and it's NBA Draft Day. Tonight, 8 p.m., the draft will get going. The Sixers have the number 3 overall pick, and we still have no idea what they're doing. 3 is kind of a weird spot because Ace Bailey would seem to be the third best player, but he's had a weird pre-draft process where he's canceled workouts with multiple teams. Keith Pompey asked them about it yesterday and how it's affected him.
Does that upset you a little bit that people are kind of misconstruing you or getting a bad taste?
Everybody go feel how they feel. I'm controlling what I can control, and that's the basketball.
So clearly it's not bothering Bailey, but is it bothering the Sixers? Some other options, they could look at VJ Edgecombe out of Baylor, or they could look at Trey Johnson out of Texas. We'll keep you updated as we get closer. Our coverage begins tonight at 6 p.m. The Phillies fell to the Astros 1-0 last night. It was a great pitching matchup if you're into that type of thing. Ranger Suarez went 7 2/3, 1 earned. Framber Valdez, the Astros bullpen, were just a little bit better shutting out the Phils. The offense had just 4 hits in the game for the Fightins. Game 2 is tonight at 8:10 p.m. as they look to bounce back. Zach Wheeler on the mound against Colton Gordon. We're going to talk to Adam Schefter coming up 7:55. So next, this update is brought to you by Payday, packed with peanuts and filled with golden caramel. Payday is one hard-working candy bar, so grab one now to power you through the day. Payday Peanut Caramel Bar. Get to it. I'm Connor Thomas, and you're listening to the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and the Union, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Philadelphia, a BZ Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. While we await Schefter to call in, we have another pair of the Flyers draft party tickets. So here's what we're going to do.
So looking forward to it.
Know the Schefter again, which we do every once in a while. Listen closely to the Adam Schefter interview. He will say something, and then afterward, we will ask the question, and the first person to get it right will win the pair of tickets and the parking for the Flyers draft party, which takes place this Friday, June 27th from 6 to 10 p.m. at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City. It includes a live broadcast with yours truly, John Kincade.
Can't wait. And Tim Saunders and I and Jason Martinez. It's going to be great. We're going to have Danny Briere. We're going to have Rick Tocchet. We're going to have Keith Jones.
Flyers brass, man.
It's going to be great. And it's going to be a fantastic time. We're going to be at the party. It's going to be a great time.
And if you do not win the tickets today, tickets are available, $6 per person. Proceeds benefit the Flyers charity, $6 because they have the 6th overall pick. Broadcast, as you mentioned, Tim Saunders will be there, Jim Jackson, Flyers Governor Dan Hilferty, Mark Recchi will be there. So much going on with the Flyers draft party, and we'll be giving away a pair of tickets after we speak with our next guest here, who is brought to us by Landis Block. Create your very own jaw-dropping backyard paradise online at landisbc.com. He's on the Comcast Business Hotline, where every day business is a big day. Let Comcast Business get you ready for what's next. From ESPN, our man Adam Schefter joins us. Shefty, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. What's going on?
You've had a busy week. Well, you're always busy because your phone probably blows up every other day. But you're at the Fanatics Fest, and I saw you had to sit down with Robert Kraft. Sort of take us on the inside. What was that all about? What was that experience like?
Well, Thursday we got to walk with Rory McIlroy and Keegan Bradley, Captain Keegan.
I loved it as I sent you the note. I loved it. You really enjoyed that. You seemed like you really enjoyed it.
John, I love that. I mean, we all have hobbies and vices, and I'm a pretty plain and simple guy. I love watching golf on the weekends, and I do it every single weekend. Like, I'm at a golf fantasy thing with my friends, and it's great fun. So I am really riveted and obsessed with watching golf. Do it every single weekend, and I watch PGA Tour live on ESPN Plus all the time. And so they had asked me to come pick an event, and initially I was going to do the Truist, but it was like 2 weeks after the draft, and I felt like the season is so long and hard. I needed a little bit of time to decompress first before I was ready for that. So we agreed on the Travelers. It was that Thursday. They assigned me to the Rory McIlroy and Keegan Bradley group, which was a perfect group to be assigned to, and I got to walk with them on Thursday, 18 holes. Robert Dameron kind of made sure I didn't step out of line. And it was a great experience. That was Thursday. Then Friday was Fanatics Fest, where we were on a stage interviewing the Patriots owner Robert Kraft, and then the former Michigan great who went into the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame, #1 pick, Chris Webber. Conversation about what it would be like to be a college athlete today, considering I always remember the stories about him being in college and not being able to afford to buy cheeseburgers. So it's just a totally different time. And Robert Kraft was great, and both of these interviews played on my podcast, which I just posted this morning. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. I have no idea how these things work. And listen, I've been very fortunate and blessed to cover the NFL for 35 years. I love it. But it is sometimes very refreshing and invigorating to step outside your comfort zone and do some other things. And those 2 days, especially Thursday, we're like that. It's just different. It's not something you do every day. I've interviewed NFL owners, so that's not all that unusual, but to hang out with Chris Webber, that was kind of fun too. And Robert Kraft is so respected and has meant so much to the sport. It was a very cool thing. Very cool 48-hour period.
It's as the NFL watches it here, I'm really interested. They made it the NFL a 24/7, 12-month-a-year league. I watch now how the NBA, and who I know that you're also into, is now having a 2-night draft for a 2-round draft. It's interesting how the NFL, everything they do, it seems like now the other leagues all want to sort of get in on the action, sort of take that.
Well, the NFL has really become adept at spreading out its events and dominating the calendar. And I think you'll remember this, but I'm being honest when I say this. Like, I started covering the NFL in 1990, and I always remember, like, I always felt like it was a big deal when free agency happened. And in the early 90s, when free agency started, not everybody felt that way, but I always felt like that was a big thing. And that was reflected in the way that I always approached that week or that month. And then I always thought it was a big deal when the schedule came out. And I would write stories back in Denver. And a lot of people didn't think that. And now, the league's turned that into a whole big, I would say day-long event, but it's really a week-long event and maybe more. And OTAs I always thought was interesting. And now people, it's not overnight, but people have been very interested to track their teams and their favorite players. So, like, this isn't all that new to me, but it's really become widespread over the last 10, 20 years. And I think it's gone to a new level every year. And other leagues do want to cop. They see the success. They want their leagues talked about. And the NFL continues to push the envelope and do everything it can to make sure that it's attracting all that attention because, like, you're talking about moving the Super Bowl to President's Day weekend. Okay, so the season goes a little longer. And now we're going to open it up on Wednesday or Thursday, September 4th, and we'll do international games on Friday. So we'll take over that whole weekend, or try to. So there's games Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Monday, and it's just little revisions and upgrades and improvements that the league continues to engage in as it continues to try to fully take over the calendar. Now, I will say this. It's Wednesday, June 25th. And on Wednesday, June 25th, and on Wednesday, July 2nd, and even Wednesday, July 9th, there's not a whole heck of a lot that the league can do because even the people inside the league have to kind of take a little bit of a break before it all starts back up again in mid-July. But that doesn't mean that something couldn't happen today, this week, next week, or the week after. It's just that if there are a couple of quiet weeks on the NFL calendar, these would be them. That doesn't mean the league is immune from things happening. Aaron Rodgers goes on Pat McAfee yesterday and announces that he anticipates that this will be his last season. So there's always something, but these should be the two quietest weeks of the year.
So when we do get back to football action, it'll obviously be training camp, and I'm sure you'll get a better feel of this from training camp because I know you do your tours and you talk to a lot of people. The Eagles' defense got a facelift, right, this offseason. There's a lot of new changes, a lot of new players. The Jair Alexander signing didn't happen with the Eagles. I'm curious, is there any sort of early mention of a player that the Eagles are hoping or expecting to take that next step forward for them to sort of keep this defense toward the top of the league like we saw last year?
Well, I just think you look at all those young players that they've drafted. I mean, Jalen Carter did that last year, and I would think he could be even better this year, right? So, and by the way, this would be his third year, correct? Yes.
Yes.
So again, you want to dangle that out there. If Jalen Carter dials it up again, do they sit down and try to get a contract extension done with him after this season? I would think that that's certainly possible that they try to do that. That would be something that would be within the realm of possibility. And you look at just all the young players that they have on defense and all the young players that they want to keep around. There are these contracts dangling out there, big money for all these guys if they can step up and continue the performances that they've engaged in.
Tell us about the evolution of Tight End University, which, by the way, it seems really interesting.
I think it's very interesting. Now, I'll say this. I'm sure that I'm going to miss some points, and I don't have all the information on it, and I haven't been debriefed on it. But my observation from afar is this, that obviously Greg Olsen, Travis Kelce, George Kittle decided, it would be really neat for us to get all the players together at a certain spot. And that way you're helping people at their craft, you're growing the position, Everybody, it's like a fraternity of tight ends. That's what it is. And then you turn it into a business model. So now you got people sponsoring it. Now, I don't know whether they do or don't make money. I have no idea about that, but I think it sets up as a model for quarterback camps and wide receiver camp or wide receiver U or DLU or LBU, whatever you want to do. Now, whether that they own the rights to that or whether they franchise it out, and whether tight end U is something like Taylor Swift performed last night at a concert that they then sell the rights to a sports group. Like, everybody's looking to enter the sports business. These guys now own this. So, I don't think they did it as a money-making venture, but I would guess that there's potentially money to be made here. In addition to forging relationships with all the tight ends in football and giving back to them. Like, there's good involved, there's business involved, there's sponsorships involved, there's training involved, there's fun involved. Like, it's a no-brainer. And now how far can you take it?
Schefty, last thing before we let you go, I mentioned Jair Alexander. It happened like right after we had you on last week.
Yeah.
I know he signed with the Ravens, and he mentioned that playing with Lamar is something he wanted to do. I believe it was your report that he actually left money on the table to go to Baltimore. Any understanding if the Eagles were in on Jair Alexander, and if that came close at all?
The two teams that I had heard all along were the Carolina Panthers and the Baltimore Ravens. That's not to say that the Eagles didn't make a phone call to check in to see what the situation was, but I never heard that they were viable or a real possibility. I think that situation came down to, in the end, Carolina and the Baltimore Ravens, and obviously Baltimore had a big advantage with Lamar.
Keely Ringo it is, Johnny. All right, Shefty.
They believe in him.
Shefty, we appreciate the time as always,
Great
man.
job, Adam.
And we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, guys. We'll be in touch next week. Have a great week.
There he's Adam Schefter on the Comcast Business Hotline, brought to us by our friends at Landis Block. Create your very own jaw-dropping backyard paradise online at landisbc.com.
You know what they had last night at Tight End University? A surprise. They had karaoke night. Like they were having karaoke for all of them to come out and like perform. And then Taylor Swift showed up with her to crash the stage.
She sang?
To perform with them.
That's got to be pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
To perform with them. So
imagine being a rookie and like you're at tight end university and there's Taylor Swift. You get to sing with her.
And Taylor was just there with her
boyfriend.
Come on out. No, she was there to perform with whoever was.
Was Travis there though?
Yes,
oh, okay,
but she was there.
She was there with Travis too on like the red carpet thing.
No, but she was there to perform with whoever. So if Connor's a tight end for somebody, if they like act very mythologically here, that she
Connor
would
will act
perform
like
with
it's true.
Played tight end in Pee Wee football growing up.
There you go.
All right, so there was Shefty. No Jair Alexander. That was never happening.
By the way, just like the Eagles are not in on Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, no, that's not happening.
For God's sakes. And we still have these insiders claiming to be Eagles insiders doing podcasts going, why the Eagles are now out on Jalen Ramsey. They were never in.
They were never in. All right, coming up next, today's headlines with Connor Thomas. We want to hear from you, so text us at 6. here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Coming up in our next segment, so at around 8:25, I have the Jonathan Givony final mock draft. And what I want to do is not necessarily just go through the order, but give the players that could be in that range for the Sixers and sort of what one of the biggest draft insiders is saying about the players on the day of the NBA draft, just so that we can get some more information on these guys. Because I know not everybody's watching Rutgers basketball. I know not everybody is watching Texas basketball here in the Philadelphia area. So just to give you some more information on the players that could be drafted tonight by the Sixers or by, of course, any of the teams that the Sixers might trade with. But we'll do that coming up a little bit. The Know the Show question, the first one to get this answer right at 610-632-0975 will win the pair of tickets for the Flyers draft party plus the free parking at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City. Adam Schefter was able to interview two golfers, Rory McIlroy and who? First person to get that answer right at 610-632-0975 will win that prize. All right, it's time now for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
All right, and it's brought to us by Lundy Law. For over 70 years, Lundy Law has been fighting for injured people. If you need them, remember the name Lundy Law, your injury lawyers. Visit LundyLaw.com.
Why do you panic in there? Anytime I talk to you in your ear, you...
I'm trying to do stuff here. I'm trying to tell the people about Lundy Law.
You hit a button, you have like 8 seconds before you have to start talking.
I'm sorry, is this today's headlines with Andrew Salciunas?
No.
I'd like my space, please, sir.
But you have like 8 seconds with today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Well, maybe you could trade me, because apparently valuable pieces of organizations are being traded left and right these days, including a thought process that came out of nowhere from Nuggets owner Josh Kroenke. So he was asked about a question with the second apron and what teams are doing, and he brought up a name that was unprompted here.
Going into that second apron is not necessarily something that we're scared of. I think that there are rules around it that we needed to be very careful of with our injury history. The wrong person gets injured, and very quickly you're into a scenario where that I never want to have to contemplate, and that's trade number 15.
Yeah, that was an insane thing to just say. And of course, number 15, for people who don't know, the Denver Nuggets and their jersey numbers is Nikola Jokic. Just completely unprovoked.
Unprovoked. That just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's a bad move by him.
Maybe he didn't mean it, but the point he's trying to say is we have to be ahead of some of these things because you don't want to fall into a trap or in a bad situation where you're going to have to make moves. And so I think what he's trying to say is we're doing whatever we can to be competitive and keep Nikola Jokic here, blah, blah, blah. But for him to talk about trading him, what? You said what now?
They're going crazy about that this morning.
Are they?
Oh, I guarantee.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh,
yeah.
I already see it on timeline stuff, but got a buddy of mine his show is done today. His show's done today.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't.
Is this all? He goes, how about, wait a minute. We're less than 2 years from a parade, and this? It's unbelievable.
I don't think he's saying that they're going to trade him or they're looking to trade him, but just...
How did we get here?
The fact that you said it is
my gosh.
It's just insane.
And then it'll be, media has created this. No,
you said it.
No reason to bring that up at all. So that's a bad move. This one, you guys can tell me if it's a bad move or not. So Noah Senge is one of the projected lottery picks tonight in the NBA draft. Now, he's currently playing...
the German kid?
He's playing overseas in Germany right now.
Good German basketball knowledge by you.
No, I just happened to be... He was one of the YouTube reels I saw the other day.
Now, his team is currently leading in the German League Finals in 2-1 in a 5-game series.
Okay.
The series is ongoing, and he is leaving his team to come to the draft tonight.
He's doing what?
Leaving his team to come to the draft tonight so that he can shake hands with Adam Silver and hang out with everybody else. And
you're kidding me.
Yeah. He's
walking out on his team in the middle of a finals?
Yep.
That is atrocious.
Yeah, I'd say you're off my board if you're doing that.
Honestly, I would not want to draft you.
It's a bad look.
That is that is awful.
Yeah.
That's a despicable teammate.
Says we had a good run, boys.
And here's the deal.
And this is a high league in Germany. I just saw his reel the other day.
This is not like a bowl game where you could get hurt and that could hurt your draft stock. This guy, if he's going to be a first-round pick, he's going to be a first-round pick, right?
Oh, my gosh.
and you're leaving your team
2-1 up in the finals?
Which, by the way, to shake the hand with the commissioner.
Also,
it's not like you're playing tomorrow.
There's another dude on the team, Ben Saraf, who is staying with the team
to play.
And he is another draft prospect, not a lottery
I watched
pick,
his reel, too.
So why are you watching so much German basketball?
No, I wasn't watching German basketball. I'm just watching these reels of guys that could get drafted.
In the first round, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
But that's an insane thing to do. And imagine being one of his and he's one of the, and he's getting drafted, so he's one of their better players.
Okay, you honestly don't come. Okay, what if it goes to a game 5? Don't bring your ass back in the locker room.
Well, they're up 2-1, so if they lose, they might want him. They might want him back.
No, don't come back. As I've told you, keep an eye on the story. I'm not sure the Phillies locker room's open to a certain point.
I would have been pissed if I was any of his teammates, Jose Alvarado's.
I don't know that Alvarado's welcome. That's just a foregone conclusion that on August 18th he's coming back or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Wow. That is a bad story, Connor.
Well, I thought it was a good story, but it's a bad move by him.
No, but that's a bad. Oh, that's incredible.
I can't believe it.
What a bad teammate.
He's got a chance to go to the league. Maybe that's good enough for him.
To wear your suit and put on the cap with the team you get drafted.
Oh my gosh, he wants to put on his. I'm gonna pick this outrageous suit, put on a hat, get my picture taken. That's terrible. That's a bad teammate.
Yeah, pretty bad.
Gosh, that's terrible.
Coming up next, we'll give you some info on the players that are going to be around, or on the board, I should say, for the Sixers at 3.
I can't believe
that guy is off our board.
I would take him off. I really would. My organization, he'd be off my board.
It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Who will the Sixers take? I'm Connor Thomas, and it's draft night in the NBA. Tonight at 8 p.m., the draft will get going, and a little bit after that, we'll find out who the Sixers will select at number 3 overall, or what they'll do with the pick. But it's still unclear at this point. Ace Bailey seems to be the third best prospect in the draft, but he's canceled workouts with teams. Is that a very intriguing pre-draft process, one way to put it? So Keith Pompey asked him yesterday about, what his plan kind of is.
Does that upset you a little bit that people are kind of misconstruing you or getting a bad taste?
Everybody go feel how they feel. I'm controlling what I can control, and that's the basketball.
So Bailey's okay with it. We'll see if the Sixers are one of the NBA teams that are okay with still targeting Bailey. VJ Edgecombe out of Baylor is another hot name for the Sixers at 3. Trey Johnson out of Texas. Our coverage begins tonight at 6 p.m. The Phillies fell to the Astros 1-0 last night. Ranger Suarez was awesome, but unfortunately the offense did not create enough. Only 4 hits for the Phil's offense in the game against Framber Valdez and the Astros bullpen. Game 2 is tonight at 8:10 p.m. Zach Wheeler against Colton Gordon, the pitching matchup. This update is brought to you by the International Hot Rod Association. Nitro's back. The IHRA Outlaw Nitro Series is lighting up the track. Nitro Nation, grab your tickets now at IHRA.com. That's IHRA.com. I'm Connor Thomas, and you're listening to the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. You know, Connor, I see that you could have fit in somewhere yesterday.
Where's that?
On the bus with the Lehigh Valley IronPigs.
Boys went tarps off?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Was DJ AAA on it?
And he was the one that posted the photo.
Of course.
They had a 6-hour. This is what sucks for minor league ball players. They had a 6-hour bus ride. The bus had no air conditioning, and it was 96 degrees yesterday. So the boys took their shirts off to try to be a little bit more comfortable. So Connor, you would have fit right in.
Got to do what you got to do, man. That's just guys having a good time. I don't know how anyone could get mad at that.
Not mad.
It's hot on the bus.
I'm not mad.
Pop the top.
Nobody's angry.
No, you would have fit right in, though.
Nobody's angry. It's just
But Connor would have been doing it. He would have done it with if only one other guy on the bus was doing it.
Connor would have done it by himself if he
I'd have
felt
been
like it.
It's good. Look, there's UV light getting in here. I'm working on my tan. It's a
Gotta even it
6-hour
out.
ride. You remember how when Michael Jordan, you know the story, right, with Terry Francona, had Tito when Terry was working at ESPN.
Yes.
These are one of the things where I'm excited for you to get up there to Bristol.
Yeah,
because
cool.
it's fun when they bring people by the studio when you're hosting up there, and they bring people by as guests. Yeah. So Terry Francona's up there, and they get him by. Well, Terry Francona's the coach of the Birmingham Barons, and you know the entire team said they're quitting when Michael Jordan was getting put into AA baseball because he didn't belong.
Yeah,
he had no reason to be put into there, and they were all going to quit. And then Michael Jordan and his camp and Nike said, well, we're going to buy you a luxury bus. So you're going to travel in absolute luxury from now on when you travel as a team to get the team to accept him and say it's okay. Because they were going to lose a teammate and everything like this. So they bought this luxury liner bus that came in there. And it had it was customized to where the seats would lay down.
Oh, wow.
So nice. they could have like cots. And so they all had to like suck it up Buttercup and have Michael Jordan as their teammate, but they all didn't mind
just so they could sell tickets in the minor leagues.
Yeah, they didn't mind the luxury liner,
I'm
though.
sure they didn't.
And they had air conditioning. And Connor, the buses that they used to ride didn't have the air conditioning.
Yeah.
Didn't have the nice air.
They didn't have to go
nice air conditioning.
They didn't have to go tarps off as Connor
no, it was
says.
good. They were good.
Real quick before I give you some of these players that will be on the board for the Sixers at 3. Our man Mopar chimes in on YouTube about
what did Mopar say?
About the German basketball player. Let's see. German basketball league or first round the NBA worth millions. This is a ridiculous take.
What? He gets both.
He gets both.
He doesn't get not drafted if he goes to play for the team that he committed to.
He's still getting his millions.
By the way, the team that pays him, the teammates that he is committed to.
He's still getting millions.
The country that he represents. For God's sakes, are you kidding me?
He's still getting millions.
He gets the money either way. He gets the job either way.
You know what this
is? It's all about the photo shoot.
How many times when we watch the NFL draft?
Oh, my gosh.
The guys that get drafted at their house. Because they didn't travel to wherever the NFL draft was.
Do they still get drafted?
They still get drafted.
Do they still get the millions?
Yes, they still get the millions.
Oh, it's amazing. And by the way, it's not the only guy. So we got another one here, Kevin on social media here. There are 6 guys out of that league who have a chance to get drafted. A chance. Probably 4 of them will. And the other 2 are not but they're not going.
Yeah.
So they'll just be there because they're not playing. But it's there. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You're in the finals. Your team, you played all year, and you're quitting on your teammates. It's ridiculous.
He's gonna get both.
That's a ridiculous take.
I agree.
And from a guy who usually doesn't have ridiculous takes, Mopar usually doesn't have ridiculous takes. Yeah. That's shocking. My gosh.
All right. So Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, we know 1 and 2. So right now, Jonathan Gavoni, who covers the NBA draft for ESPN, he has VJ Edgecombe as his 3rd pick for the Philadelphia 76ers. Just so we know. Here's some of the things that he writes about him. Edgecombe appears in pole position to hear his name called at 3 because of his unique talent, but also because of Ace Bailey's clear determination to avoid teams in this range, which puts the Sixers in a difficult position, potentially selecting someone who clearly does not want to play for them. While sources say Edgecombe appeared nervous during his private workout in Philadelphia and did not shoot the ball particularly well, in an unnatural one-on-one setting, he made a strong impression in interviews and meetings, something that front offices value more highly.
I think he
or
had a
the
great
front office values more highly.
Great impression behind a microphone. Great impression getting interviewed. But again, you're paying a premium price for somebody. You're paying more than you should have to pay for what you're buying. And you're allowing yourself as an organization to get bullied.
The one thing
I don't like either part of it.
One thing I get nervous about when I hear he was appeared nervous in his private workout, I heard the exact same thing, and he was tired about Markelle Fultz. Now, I'm not comparing Edgecombe to Markelle Fultz, but they valued what he was like in his interviews and his meetings, but he wasn't good on the court. I already went through this with Markelle Fultz, so hopefully it's a different
Let's
result.
hope.
Hopefully it's different.
Let's hope it's a little bit different.
He does mention, by the way, Edgecombe's fit in Philadelphia's backcourt with Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain doesn't appear to be seamless, but there is significant upside to tap into at the high-level explosive.
Okay, give me Edgecombe. It's opening night, and
he's coming off the bench.
Exactly. So he's excited to come here and be coming off the bench. So you're drafting a bench player 3.
Well, bench player because of the situation that you have. Yes.
Okay.
All right, 4, he has Con Knippel, which is the shooting guard / forward out of Duke.
Is it Knippel or Knuppel?
I think it's Knippel. I'm pretty sure Amy Fadul said Knippel, and if Amy said it, then it's
Knippel. I've heard Knuppel though too.
So,
and I think the nipple thing. I think it's nipple.
He believes that the nip is going 4 because Edgecombe is going 3. He says, should Edgecombe go 3, who the Hornets are very high on, who are drafting 4th, then he believes it'll be a trade-down scenario. So he believes they would draft Con Knippel and then somehow trade him somewhere. So that does not necessarily mean Knippel goes to the Hornets at 4 and stays with the Hornets.
Okay.
Again, this guy does a lot of this research. Knippel rates well in analytics-based draft models, but the Hornets might ponder whether they could still add him if they elect to move down a few slots and acquire additional assets in the process. Pick number 5, Jeremiah Fears, point guard out of Oklahoma. I don't know anything about him. Another guard.
I don't know anything about him.
Let's see. The Jazz got their first look at Fears in a private one-on-one workout Thursday. He is also said to be drawing considerable interest from New Orleans and Brooklyn at 7 or 8. Should he not hear his name at 4 or at 5? Nothing really popping off.
It's not a great draft.
Ace Bailey is 6th to the Wizards. We know all about the story of Bailey. The center out of Duke, he has going 7 to the Pelicans. The Sixers aren't going to draft him, obviously. Trey Johnson, he has going 8. Now, Trey Johnson is the name that Amy Fadul has talked about a lot. Johnson has been viewed by many teams as having somewhat of a narrow band of landing spots between picks 4 and 6, but he could also slide. Though his fall would be a slight fall for Johnson, most around the league would be surprised to see him get past this spot. He remains part of a soft consensus group of players from 3 to 8. They talk about his shooting ability is the reason why he's going to be drafted high.
Okay.
And so after that, the guy from Germany, ninth overall pick.
Yeah.
But all these other guys are not going to be selected by the Sixers, or even conversations are being had about them. But these are some of the players, in case you aren't totally sure of, that we could see going off the board at 3 through 8, players that the Sixers could trade back for, because that is still a legitimate possibility.
I'm waiting to see
Ace Bailey and then you make the move, because that's how it works.
Which is what I want. That's what I'm hoping for. The hostage situation. That would be great. See them leverage it, but it is risky. It is risky. But if you know that Con Knippel has somebody who wants him, then why wouldn't you draft him at 3? Why wouldn't you draft him at 3? If you know somebody at 4 wants him, why aren't you drafting him?
Because you'd get more for somebody that's jumping from 6 to 3 or 7 to 3.
Yeah, but then you have to go to 6 for your pick.
Right. You would have to.
So then you go
again. That's the back channeling that Daryl Morey would be doing.
The guy you want isn't Knippel. The guy you know on numerous sites, 4, Knippel's going off at 4. Okay, so if you're sitting 3, then why wouldn't you draft him and make them give you something to get him? And then you're sitting 4, you're still going to get the player you want because you didn't want Knippel, and you're going to get something additional.
Again, the mock draft. The only reason why the Hornets would take Knippel is because you took Edgecombe.
Yeah, but you see, they're saying here is another one too. Is that the Charlotte Morning Show here is saying Knippel's winning their poll. Like the Charlotte radio station, Knippel's winning their poll. Now, I don't know if that's because fans want him.
I think the Duke thing.
Right. Do fans want him?
Also, Cooper Flagg would not be winning like our poll because he's not a perceived option.
Well, we can't. Exactly. Oh, that's another one, too. Connor, point seeded. Point seeded.
By the way, Mopar's followed up saying, you are 100% missing my point. I'm still trying to figure out what the point is. He then follows up saying, my point is the young kid, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, being drafted in the first round in the best basketball league in the world, I would want to be there.
And okay. You could, and the other guy in the finals in the same league is playing.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
The initial
You're
point,
walking out on your teammates.
The initial point that you made, Mopar, can't delete the post, is, all right, take millions of dollars or play in Germany.
No, you said take millions of dollars or.
And
it's not or.
You get both.
You get both.
And that's beautiful.
And you get to still be a good teammate.
You can still be a champion.
Yes, you're still champs.
All right, coming up next.
There you go.
Big night for the NBA, as we know, but Eagles are always on our mind, regardless of what month or day or time. The Eagles are always on our mind. And a lot of the players, what's on their mind is repeating as Super Bowl champions. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Ray Dunn, Mike Missanelli.
Eagles have messed with the screens behind us.
Because you just messed with Vegas.
As we're coming out of break.
Because you just messed with Vegas.
I just don't have the intrigue that you have an obsession with Vegas.
I do. Yeah, I'm absolutely obsessed.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, somebody says, hey, you want to go to Vegas? Like, I'm not going to say no. It's just I don't have, like, oh, man, I got to get out there one day.
No, it's absolutely. I want you to, though. I really do.
You want me to go more than I actually want to go.
No, absolutely, I do. I do.
It's unbelievable.
And the thing is, though, I think you and your lady would love it. I think you'd have a great time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think you would absolutely have an awesome time.
I also have a fun time bringing Team New Jersey.
You do. Well, I mean,
there's casinos and water there.
See, some of us aren't rich people. We didn't grow up rich kids, so we don't have the shore house. So we don't have that.
So you go with the much more financially smart option of going to Las Vegas.
Yeah, but you're talking to a guy that's got the envelope, so he's fine.
Hey, envelopes are made. But look, even for the Flyers draft party, I got my envelopes already packed.
That's good.
I'm all ready.
Well, you're going to be down there.
Ready for that, yes. I'm going to get little cards in.
Well, as you should.
Talk to Timmy Saunders.
You're literally going to be at a casino. So
absolutely.
Okay, so the Eagles, as we are always thinking about the Philadelphia Eagles, they're all set for next year and have been since the Super Bowl ended. And A.J. Brown's on social media talking about how it didn't, fill that want that he wanted. He wants more. Jalen Hurts ushered some similar things. And then it's kind of just sort of continued as the offseason been going on that these guys are hungry for more. Nick Sirianni had the, what was his line? It's like perfume. You sniff it, you don't drink it or something.
Because it's poison.
Because it's poison.
Yes.
Well, they do they stole that right from Nick Saban, who is the king of the rat poison.
Okay.
Rat poison was his whole thing, is that you don't read it. Look, I love it. I just ask you to be honest with me. Both of you, look me in the eyes.
You want me to look you in the eyes?
Do you believe it?
We can't both look you in the eyes at the same time.
No, I'm looking at it. Do you believe it?
Eye. What? That
when you hear this?
Oh no, dude. Do
you think it's a talking point that they've all shared, or do you believe that they are actually living it and believe it? That we've turned the page. Last season's over. We are completely laser focused on this year. Because I'm going to tell you that if they are, I feel a little bit sorry for them.
Yeah, you want them to enjoy it a little bit.
Yeah, I would say no. They'll get there in training camp, but I don't expect them to be at this point. OTAs is nothing.
I don't either.
There might be some guys that are built that way, right? Like
Jalen, the second the Super Bowl's over and Disney World's over, was probably like, let's think about next year.
Well, no, yeah, and look, I can understand that, like sort of that part of it.
Yeah, there's some guys, but then like Saquon has been living it up.
Reed and Coop,
right? Like, yeah, there's some guys that have been.
There's some that
I don't think Coop's going to sleep yet.
Like Ray Dunn was at like Bill Colorillo and Ray Dunn have had some appearances with the soccer,
yes,
and everything, and they're picking bars for those appearances. The only ones that Cooper DeJean has not been seen at.
Oh,
this offseason.
You sure he hasn't been in Xfinity Live?
I'm not sure. I'm sure he has.
I'm sure he's been in Xfinity Live.
Brandon Marsh has texted him and said, "Dude, calm down a little bit."
Yeah, that's my spot.
Come on, calm down a little bit.
But the reason why we bring this up, the latest Eagle is Nolan Smith. John sent this to me yesterday. The quote from Nolan Smith: "I'm not waiting to get no ring. We're on to the next page. Like Coach said, we got to flip the page in the book."
And you got to realize Nolan Smith is a product of Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart is a product of Nick Saban. They all are reading from a playbook. I don't believe it. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't believe it with Nolan Smith. I don't believe it. I believe Nolan Smith is reciting from the book. I believe he's reciting the lines from the book, because what I've seen from Nolan from the day he arrived in Athens, Nolan Smith is one of the most joyous people you could ever meet.
Now, let me ask you something. What do you do every time you go on a vacation? What do you do when you get back?
I don't know.
After you put your clothes away and all that kind of stuff. When are we going on our next one?
Oh, yes. Oh, no. Okay. Okay, right? I do that.
You do that.
No, I do that.
I do it.
No, I absolutely do.
Because I'm somebody, one of my issues in life is I always need something to look forward to, or I fall into like a bit of a state of a depression.
We have almost every one of our 2026 vacations already booked.
Yeah, you're already
booked.
And so maybe
I always have to have that.
Maybe a guy like Nolan Smith or any of the players that have that mindset, maybe they enjoyed it more than A.J. Brown, where 2 days later he's on Instagram talking about how that didn't do enough for him. but maybe they enjoyed it so much through the first 4 months. Like, this is their vacation. They go, you know what? I want to do that again next year. So I'm going to lock in.
No, what's funny is I didn't. Now it's weird. Is we heard the same thing, and I didn't think of it the way you think of it, and that makes me think.
You know?
Okay, that's different. Okay, that's a different.
I'm so obsessed with this feeling that I want it again, but I know what it takes to get there. And so I'm going to, all right, turn it back off or turn it back on, whowever you want to look at it.
Turn it back on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Party mode off, work mode on.
That's that's an interesting way to look at the same thing.
From February to June, you can still party next year.
And I'm sure he did. Believe me, I guarantee you they did.
I think these guys had fun.
And by the way, I'm glad if
Nolan Smith literally needed a ride to get to the end of the
I'm glad that they did. It's just that when I'm hearing all this, turn the page, we don't care, it's all over. When I'm not even hearing about it anymore, and I'm not even thinking about it anymore, I don't believe it. Because I don't know how you could. And if you are, I think you're being robotic, that it just is, you're missing out on life.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're missing out on something that you earned. And by the way, something that they all earned.
Yeah, but you weren't thinking about your next vacation on your vacation.
No.
You were thinking about your next vacation when you got home.
Absolutely.
So maybe these guys are thinking about what's next now that they're a month away from training camp, or less than a month away from training camp.
You're bright. You're bright.
You know?
That's
I don't hear that often.
That's an interesting way to look at it. That's an interesting way to I like that. I like the way you think.
All right, what do we got on the text line,
Don't
Connor?
say that to you often. I like the way you
text
think.
the show at 610-632-0975.
All right, so we were talking about the red pill, blue pill conversation earlier of what you want the Sixers to do. Mike from Phoenixville says, I would go to Joel and Paul George's house, volunteer to pack their bags, buy their flights, and drive them to the airport. Also, if you're telling me we can get what Memphis got for Bane for Maxey, I'm highly considering that as well.
Okay, well, you're not going to now all of a sudden trade everybody away.
Sounds like he's down for that.
You're not you're not interested in listening to you're shutting off listening to anything or to everything.
I got to start with something.
So
this guy wants to trade Embiid, Paul George, and Maxey.
He didn't say that.
Yes, he did.
He said if he could get a return like they got for Bane. And by the way, if you could get a return like that for Maxey, you're telling me you wouldn't even consider it?
I think you could get a return like that for Maxey.
You wouldn't even consider it then?
You have to have something.
But hold on. Here's let me get all the appropriate details here.
I mean, you'd have
if
to
I'm
consider
If I'm trading Tyrese Maxey,
right?
An old player like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope does nothing for me.
I got you.
Cole Anthony, I like. He's a flyer. Now, obviously, the 4 first-round picks is
which you, by the way,
big.
Which because your organization has thrown away first-round picks, so you're entirely replenishing that.
By the way, I still think that is a horrible trade for the Magic.
I can't believe they did it.
I like Desmond Bane.
But they went all in because
4 first-round picks.
They went all in because they saw and going and reading about it, they saw the vulnerability of the East.
Yeah.
And they felt
they got Paolo Banchero, who's a hell of a player.
They felt there's a 2-year window for them to be a top 3 seed, and they believe that a top 3 seed is going to go to the NBA Finals.
Look, I like that Magic team. I just 4 first-round picks for Desmond Bane plus players. Insane. Like insane.
It's a lot to give up. But they looked at it as we got a 2 or 3 year window to be at the top of the conference, and we're going to go.
Yeah,
that's what they did. But you wouldn't consider that for Maxey.
Well, he's already got.
You wouldn't. No,
he's 20. He's
but
how
I'm saying
old is Tyrese Maxey?
24.
He's 24 years old. No,
but you wouldn't.
I wouldn't either.
No, because I'm going to be getting stuff for Paul George. Like I got to have somebody around.
Sounds
here.
like John wants process part 2.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying.
You want to tank?
No, if you could, no, because you two were making me keep Joel Embiid.
No, in this trade scenario, he was trading Embiid and Paul George, and then he said if you can get the package,
well,
also
first off, you can't get rid of Joel Embiid and Paul George at the same time. You're not getting that lucky.
You're gonna have no team.
You're not getting that
Johnny
lucky.
process.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. John just wanted it his time.
Yeah, I want
his
2-year.
way.
I want the Oklahoma City 2-year.
All right, coming up next, we reset today's topics. Also, be prepared to waste 5 minutes of your life tonight. It's Kincade Salciunas, 975 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A lot of options for the Sixers. I'm Connor Thomas, and it's draft night in the NBA. So tonight at 8 p.m., well, the draft will get going, and the Sixers hold the number 3 overall pick. Now, what they'll do, there are a lot of options. It's still kind of unclear. Ace Bailey was supposed to be the consensus third best player, but he canceled workouts with teams, including the Sixers. Keith Pompey asked him about his pre-draft process and what the criticism makes him feel like.
Does that like upset you a little bit that people are kind of misconstruing you or getting a bad taste?
Everybody gonna feel how they feel. I'm controlling what I can control, and that's the basketball.
Now, some may say he could control what teams he works out for, but one way or another, Ace Bailey is going to get drafted tonight. Will it be by the Sixers? Well, they're also considering B.J. Edgecombe out of Baylor, maybe Trey Johnson out of Texas. A lot of options for the Sixers. Our coverage of the draft begins tonight at 6 p.m. The Phillies fell to the Astros 1-0 last night. Ranger Suarez threw a dominant 7 2/3 innings, only had one earned. It was a homer in the 8th. But Framber Valdez and the Astros bullpen was better. They shut out the Phils, and the offense had just 4 hits in the game. Game 2 is tonight at 8:10 p.m. Zach Wheeler faces off against Colton Gordon. This update is brought to you by Moyer Indoor Outdoor Services. Follow Andrew Salciunas' lead and get a jump on a lush green lawn this spring right now. Go to eMoyer.com for free estimates. I'm Connor Thomas, and you're listening to the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Trevor, welcome to Philadelphia, my man.
Bill Colarulo and rookie.
Tommy John checks in. I'm not overly optimistic about any outcome from this draft.
Does he make the underwear?
No.
That's Tommy John.
Yeah.
Okay.
He says if Maury somehow comes away with another washed vet, I don't think I could handle it. Now, I will say this to try to ease your pain or your nerves, Tommy John. They will not be doing that because he has admitted to everybody that he realized he was wrong to get all the old players, which was, wow, glad he finally realized it. Now he realized it, just took a long time. So I don't believe he's going to be coming away with another washed vet. Now, you said something during the break. You have a question for me?
Yeah, I have a question for you.
What do you got?
Connor, you can help with this, too, because you're from the land of roundabouts.
Okay.
Where's Haddonfield Road in Cherry Hill?
Isn't that like Route 70 or whatever? It's right near it.
I guess. I'm not good with road names.
Okay.
Yeah, like I just go to places.
There's a new Roy Rogers. There's a new Roy Rogers on Haddonfield Road in Cherry Hill. Have you ever eaten at a Roy Rogers?
Yeah, when road trips.
They just opened up one on Haddonfield Road in Cherry Hill.
I didn't know they were still opening Roy Rogers.
They're now selected areas. They're reopening Roy Rogers.
My mom's first ever job was working at a Roy Rogers.
Long national nightmare's over.
Okay, I'm going to tell you, Connor.
Roy Rogers are back.
Quality, like a fast food option.
Yeah.
Roy Rogers, step above. A lot of options out there is all I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
And they don't do breakfast, so it's not like our friends at Wendy's. I'm telling you right now, they opened one up on Haddonfield Road. That might be worth the road trip over.
I'm holding out for my white whale.
Next time we play we play golf. Play gas.
Play gas.
Play golf over there.
What games do you play?
Because I'm not having a grown man pump my gas, so I'll pump my gas over in Pennsylvania.
I need a cookout here. That's what I need. I have looked up the closest cookout, and it's like in Salisbury, Maryland, and I've considered the 3.5 hour drive.
Never even heard of that in my life.
Okay. If I had a cap on, I'd give you a tip of the cat.
That cookout is...
Never heard of that place in my life.
No, Andrew.
You got no idea, bro.
Delicious.
Good?
Absolutely
Bang
delicious.
for your buck, amazing.
No, bang for your buck, amazing and delicious.
Okay, got to
Really
check that out. But yeah, Roy Rogers, my mom's first ever job.
Well, then your
50 plus years ago.
Well, if your mom wanted to pick up a little side gig, right over there.
Well, Dad's retired.
Dad's retired. Dad could do it.
Somebody needs to make the money in
Yeah,
that
you could do it.
household. All right, are you prepared to waste 5 minutes of your life tonight?
I'll be watching the Phillies.
As you're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, WPHT1 Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group Station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities.
Grandpa Tom McCarthy, who became a grandpa on Monday.
Congrats to T-Mac. That's awesome.
Congratulations, T-Mac. A lovely granddaughter.
I love that. That's great. Great for the McCarthy family. So Cooper Flagg's going number 1 tonight.
Okay.
Are they going to make us wait like the 5 minutes? Because thank God, NBA's only 5 minutes, not the NFL.
It's only 5?
Yeah, only 5 minutes.
NHL 7 for Friday night, by the way.
NBA and the NFL's what, 15 minutes?
So
the first round, and then it goes down.
No, it's down to 10 now. NFL's 10.
Always down to 10?
It's 10 now. Yeah, NFL's 10.
Or is it first round 15, then
NFL's
down to 10?
10.
Okay.
NFL's 10.
I'm glad that it's only 5 minutes. But
that's a great thing. You shouldn't need more.
Are we going to have to wait all 5 minutes? So
You mean like the Cooper Flag thing where they put you through the...
I'm driving in this morning, listening to a lot of the great audio that ESPN Overnight has. And Cooper Flag was literally interviewed yesterday about, hey, are you excited to play with Anthony Davis, who plays on the Mavericks?
Right.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm excited for it.
Right.
Because they were both on Team USA. Cooper Flag was on the youth team that played against the Stars sort of as practice.
He's already bought a place.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already
I need Nico Harrison to trade that pick.
He's already bought a place.
Do we need to wait 5 minutes? I get it. Oh, it's only 5 minutes. You know what? Do I need to waste my time?
No, you shouldn't have to waste your time. You shouldn't have to do it, but they want to show you. And two, for some of these things, the TV partners, and Adam could fill you in on this.
Yeah.
The TV partners sometimes say, hey, we have a 3-minute audio. We have a 3-minute video.
Yeah, we need to play it.
That we want to air of the kid who's going to get drafted here. So hold up the next pick.
Yeah.
Because we have to show you like his 2-fingered uncle. That we have a finger that the
helps him dribble and all that kind of stuff.
The reason that his 2-fingered uncle used to play basketball with him, and so that's like tonight. So we want to show you, and there's the 2-fingered uncle that's
that
there.
happened to the other 3 fingers.
No, that's the sad story. Is that it was like in a there was a tractor accident, And that the
always
uncle
tractors.
and that the uncle never got to have his dream of being in the NBA.
Just ask Jason Pierre-Paul.
And there it goes.
Jeez.
That's a fireworks accident. Watch it next week.
But that's the thing. Was it the COVID draft where like every story was like bad stories?
Terrible, sad stories.
Like every single one. It was like, all right, dude, I'm already dealing with enough nonsense in this world. Can we like a little?
Oh, they were trying to find. Well, the Olympics. The Olympics does that too. The Olympics will have one.
I know they.
Let's tell you some horrible story about every single person in the Olympics.
All right, so let's get a text message here, and then after this text, I read a quote from an article that we will probably discuss more tomorrow or Friday, depending on how this NBA draft goes tonight. That I believe will bother John Kincade with the Phillies and the MLB trade deadline. But what do we have on the text line, Connor? Obviously, we've been talking about the NBA draft and the Sixers. Our main topic today to start the show was, do you wish that the Sixers cut the salary the way that you're seeing teams around the NBA do right now, like the Boston Celtics, and try to regroup for a year or two down the road? Or, like the Orlando Magic,
right?
Do you want them to say, you know what? This might be our window. Let's try even more this year. What are the people saying on the text line?
All right, so no name on this text, but they say Connor's right, so I already like this texter.
That's why you're reading it.
Continuing is the path of least resistance, and Morey doesn't do rebuilds. Everyone knows that, but continuing this is like continuing to run it back with the Phillies. At some point, we got to accept that the window is closed already. Fire Morey and start over.
Well, again, I am shocked that he kept his job. Shocked. We'll see how this year plays out. Is it running it back like the Phillies when it was this is only year 2 of the Paul George saga, even though it felt like 10 years. This is only year 2, and they never really got a real shot. Now, why didn't they get a real shot? For all of the reasons we were concerned. He got hurt. Embiid got hurt. That's why it didn't feel like they really had a shot at it last year. And to just expect them to be healthy this year, I think you're fooling yourself. All right. Jason Stark. I didn't read the full article. I just read the 2 quotes that he put in his tweet, and then he added the link to the story. Dave Dombrowski and Jason Stark spoke. Obviously, Jason Stark, Hall of Fame reporter for Major League Baseball, knows the Phillies inside and out, gets that kind of access. Quote from Dave Dombrowski: "We feel like we have a legitimate chance to win." All right. I'm not disagreeing with that. I think you have to make moves, but I'm not disagreeing with that.
No.
Here's where it's going to bother John. Quote, "You may give up a little bit more than you would want to make the right deadline deal." And that's where I think you get nervous because you don't believe that this team is worth investing.
No, not emptying the coffers.
Right.
Yes.
I'm telling you, when Mike Gill said it a few weeks ago when I was driving in for one of my ESPN shifts and he said it on the air, we've been asking a million times, why is Crawford not up here? Maybe there's a thought if he comes up here and he slaps 220, he's not worth as much as when he's hitting 340 in AAA.
This organization, scared money don't make money. That's embarrassing. That's absolutely embarrassing. If that's true, and if got to take him at his word. That's freaking embarrassing. That's you can't,
unless their scouting due diligence.
Their scouting due diligence says for years we've been watching this guy hit 320, 340, 330, and we don't believe it. That's freaking ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
I'm just telling you, it's fishy.
So we bring up guys.
But I'm just telling you, it's fishy why he's not up.
But we bring up guys who aren't as good as him.
Yeah.
To the Major League club. So what's your rationale in doing that? Then that would be my follow-up question.
Yeah.
So what is your rationale in bringing up less talented guys at that level?
They're ready.
We believe
they're MLB ready.
We believe their numbers aren't as good, but we believe they translate to the Major League level better.
Right.
Makes no sense.
Well, they're not tradable pieces for anything worth anything. Like, think about the guys that have come up.
Like Otto Kemp's not landing you some quality play.
Dave Dombrowski, for the most part, has been bringing up players from the minors that you get in your Happy Meal. They're the toys you get in a Happy Meal. Everybody's got them.
Did you get a toy to Roy Rogers?
I don't think Roy Rogers. They left Newtown Square. when I was a kid. So that was the last time I remember having one. But I mean, like, everybody's got them. The little toys you get in the Happy Meal. Everybody who ever in my age group that had a kid, your kids had them and you stepped on them.
I'm just telling you, it's fishy that he's like, we've been complaining about center field.
It's embarrassing
all season long.
No, but it's also the fact that they're trying to cover their ass on that horrible Logan O'Hoppe deal.
That could be it too.
That's what they're trying to do.
But as we've said, good organizations realize their mistakes and they move on. I don't know.
How did you know that was just gonna? You did.
Because I listen to you. I talk to you on a daily basis. You're the first person I talk to every day.
It is. Good morning, Sunshine. How are you?
All right, coming up next, Adam Schefter joined us earlier today, as he does every single Wednesday. You'll hear the 5 best minutes of it coming up next. It is Kincade Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Ricky Bo, Bill Colarulo.
Look, you got the professional athlete background, so I think you're sticking up for your athletes and say, no, you should get paid for what you've done. You can't as a general manager. You got to pay people for what you expect in the future, not what they've already done.
It's expect in the future, but why? Because of what they've done in the past.
Not always.
Yes.
Unfiltered. Phillies new.
Bag. You can get yours today at Home Depot and Lowe's. You need details? Go to Bagster.com.
All right, in about a minute or two, we will play our 5 best minutes of Adam Schefter. All right, real quick. So yesterday, Christy, Coop, and I went to the Franklin Institute. 1,000,000 degrees outside. Let's get the kid out of the house because I kept him home the day before. So we went to the Franklin Institute. Always a cool place.
Named it after the Sixers mascot.
Yes.
And a cool place, too.
Yeah, awesome
like, a cool place.
Air conditioning.
Air conditioning when it's a heat wave.
And we were there for 2.5 hours. He was able to run from exhibit to exhibit. He had a blast.
And he loved it.
Yeah.
First time?
My God. No, but we took him when he was really young. It wasn't really
so he didn't
worth
remember
it the
much.
first time. Yeah. He had a blast, right? And so coming home, he's such a smart kid. I don't know where he got his brains. Clearly not from me. And he loves asking questions.
His mother's really bright.
Yes, she is.
She's got a really good job.
Yeah, she married down. And so we're about to cross the Ben Franklin Bridge. And Coop's in the is in the why or what is that phase where everything is a freaking question. And I try to be the
He's
good
an observant
parent.
kid.
Yes,
That's
and I try
good.
to be the good parent that actually answers.
Okay.
Right? Sometimes you're exhausted.
He doesn't have his head in a device.
Correct.
He's an observant
We
kid.
don't do
That's
that.
good. That's good.
And so as we were about to get onto the Ben Franklin Bridge to come back to Jersey, he saw a big sculpture. And he said, "Daddy, what is that?" And I said, "Oh, well, that's sort of art depicting the time when Ben Franklin was flying the kite with the key and the lightning bolt struck the key." To which Christy looked at me and said, "How do you know that?" I go, "Well, what do you mean?" And she had no idea. I then asked you two fellas this morning.
I've seen it.
How many times do you think you've seen that?
100.
Connor, you were a Jersey guy.
Hundreds, thousands, I don't know.
I've never.
You guys had no idea that's what it was.
I did not know that's what it was.
You literally said, and I'm not trying to call you out because my wife said the exact same thing. Oh, I just thought that was a weird piece of art.
I thought it was just a weird piece of art.
Because art is weird.
Because
I know art's beautiful and all that kind of stuff. There's some stupid stuff that's out there.
The amount of money that I've seen this city spend on, just buying stuff that's like, well, what's that? Well, it's in the eye of the beholder. Okay, good. Yeah, somebody got to kick back on that.
Yeah, exactly. You guys had no idea it was the lightning bolt striking the key.
No clue.
To the point where Connor said to me, "Well, how do you know that?" I was like, "I don't know. I just saw it."
Here's the bad part. Once I pulled it up, so then I have to pull it up and look at it. And then I look at it and go, how did I not
How'd you not know that?
How did I not see it all those times?
So I'm curious. YouTube, text messages, and if you want to call in, 610-632-0975. How many of you knew that piece of art, when you're crossing the Ben Franklin Bridge...
you can't miss it.
You know what it is. People are probably going... There's probably people like you going, "Oh, my God, that's what that is?"
I said to you this morning, I said, I never
and you've
once...
seen it
I've seen it
hundreds.
I've seen it hundreds of times.
Thousands.
And
Connor, you're right. Thousands of times.
See, I take more where I'm from.
Yeah.
As a Delco, I took more.
But you
Walt
know what
Whitman,
I'm
or I took
talking
more.
about.
And I know it. And I was like, but then when I pull it up and look at it, I'm like, how did I not see it?
So my wife and the two of you had no idea. And you're the only three people that I've asked about it.
We are of higher intelligence, though. We share like Christy.
That's right. So it's us dumb people.
Like our Christy, you can say sometimes the simpler mind doesn't have as much clutter going on.
All right, I'm curious, and Twitter as well. I'd be
interested to see because
did you know that was a key being struck by lightning? Yes or no? All right.
Let me ask you this: the Atlanta Hawks logo.
Okay.
There are people who call it the Pac-Man. The Atlanta Hawks logo.
I understand why they would say that.
You know that one, the side logo.
Yeah.
That people say it was the Pac-Man forever. They would call it the Pac-Man.
I understand why somebody would say that.
They couldn't see it. Like they couldn't look at it and see the hawk. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I can see the hawk.
You can see the hawk. But for years, people would just call it the Pac-Man logo.
Interesting.
That was what it was called.
All right, I want some immediate feedback from people on that. All right, here's our.
By the way, I love the Philadelphia Museum of Art.
Oh yeah.
I love art, looking at art, but I have a very crude art palette. Like I don't see stuff.
Okay.
I look at it and I'm just looking at it because I'm fascinated by it. But I don't see stuff and go, wow, I can see exactly what the artist meant. I look at it, but I'm fascinated by it. I could walk around the Philadelphia Museum of Art for 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And be fine and just look around and see stuff and wonder, how am I not artistic at all?
See, now people on our YouTube chat are going, I don't even know the statue that you're referencing.
Yes, they do.
Yes, you do.
The thing is, though,
it's right there.
But wait a minute, though. The thing is, though, they're doing the exact same thing that Connor and I do. Connor and I knew the statue and didn't know what it was. There are people who pass things all the time.
And they just don't notice it.
That they don't notice it. It just blends in.
Yeah.
That they don't realize what it is.
I had this conversation. We'll do Schefter another time. I had this conversation with someone before. One of Christy's good friends, Abby, she lives in Colorado.
Okay.
And she sees the mountains every day to the point where, like, they're just there. Like, when she drives to work, if you go to Colorado,
it's beautiful.
You're looking at the mountains. You're like, oh, my God, look at these things. But when you drive past them every single day, it's just, you see it every single day. So to your point, maybe that's what it is for people.
Like, maybe people get that a sense of, I don't know, like that thing's just a thing. Well, we have a friend who has agoraphobia.
What's that?
Do you know what agoraphobia is?
No.
They checked in to the not the Palazzo, which is down with down at the in Vegas.
He was a great
other side.
He was a great
Wynn.
umpire.
Yeah, exactly.
Naked Gun too.
They are afraid of mountains. They have a fear of mountains to the point that they will put on sunglasses. If they're driving up to where mountains, they see mountains.
Okay.
For some reason, they have a fear of mountains. The fear of looking at heights scares them.
Not being up high.
The fear of looking at it. They checked into their room at Palazzo, had a view of the mountains,
and couldn't
not
look
a
at
view
it.
of the strip, and had to go down and get another room that didn't look at the mountains because just the view of the mountains freaked them out.
Wow.
And I didn't even know that this existed.
That's gotta suck.
Like anything where they're seeing like mountains or anything like that scares them. It's a real condition.
How about that?
And I was like, that's crazy. But they're not afraid to be on a bridge. Like, it's just a thing.
That's wild.
You learn something new every day.
All right, we'll play our 5 best minutes of Schefty coming up next, but I want to hear from people on this. Also, one former Philly had a big moment yesterday.
Uh-oh.
And gave us a shout-out.
Oh, I love that.
It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Draft night's almost here. Well, it is tonight. It's a little bit early for that. I'm Connor Thomas, and tonight is the NBA Draft. 8 p.m. is when it'll start off. And the Sixers hold the number 3 overall pick, but it's still unclear what they're going to do with pick number 3. Ace Bailey seems to be the third best player, but he's canceled workouts for certain teams that had a weird pre-draft process. Keith Pompey asked him about it yesterday.
Does that upset you a little bit that people are kind of misconstruing you or getting a bad taste?
Everybody go feel how they feel. I'm controlling what I can control, and that's the basketball.
So it doesn't seem like Bailey's bothered by the criticism, but are the Sixers deterred from drafting him? We'll find out tonight. VJ Edgecombe of Baylor's an option. Trey Johnson of Texas is an option. We'll keep you updated on what they could do. Our coverage begins tonight at 6 p.m. The Phillies fell to the Astros 1-0 last night. It was a pitcher's duel to end all pitcher's duels. Ranger Suarez won 7 2/3, 1 earned. Just gave up a home run in the 8th. But Framber Valdez and the Astros bullpen were just a little bit better in the game. They held the Phillies to only 4 hits. Game 2 is tonight at 8:10 p.m. Zach Wheeler will face off against Colton Gordon. This update is brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today. I'm Connor Thomas, and you're listening to the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
absolutely amazing Wednesday as the Sixers get ready for the draft. We get ready for the coverage tonight. We'll find out tomorrow morning how we all react to it.
Thanks, Johnny.
Got that done?
Yeah, when you do radio and you get calls about important things that you can't miss the phone.
So you got in. You got it.
But I
That's
appreciate
fine.
it.
It's good.
I appreciate that.
You're all in there.
All right, so yesterday, before we get to our 5 best minutes of Schefty, Whit Merrifield officially announced that he retired. He said that he had sort of been retired for quite some time. He had been having conversations for a while now, but he put out the statement yesterday. And, he had a very good career. Ignore what happened last year. He had a very good career. He was a really good baseball player. He sucked with the Phillies. And he gave us a shout-out.
Mm-hmm.
This is one blurb from many. He said, I was so privileged and blessed to have played in the cities I played in. Kansas City, you became a second home to my family and I. Nothing compares to a first love. Toronto, playing for an entire country was an honor I'll never forget. Philly, I liked you way more than you liked me. Sorry I stunk for you.
I loved it.
That's a great line, man.
I loved it, and that's a really funny, classy way to go about it.
Yeah, Whit's a great dude by all accounts.
Everybody loved him in that clubhouse. I saw Matt Gelb tweeting this,
it was great.
That everybody in that clubhouse loved him.
Just out of the clubhouse, the fan base.
Okay, here's what was going on is I saw people last night, maybe it wasn't on your timeline, because we sometimes have different algorithms going, well, everybody loved him but Bryce Harper. Him and Harper didn't get along, and I'm like, what?
I don't remember that at all.
Harper and him got along really well. And then people were using a clip of him and Harper having words when he was a Brave. I'm like, they were screwing around.
Oh, yeah. Did he do the knock the hat off thing?
Yes, they were screwing around.
People are idiots.
Oh
And they got along really well. They really got along well. Yes.
So Gene Segura and Ozzy Albies hate each other because they used to always do that stuff.
They got along really well.
Okay.
Whit Merrifield had a great reputation as a teammate.
Yeah.
Okay, congratulations to him.
Pretty damn good ball player, too, for the career he put together.
Great career,
just not here. And then he goes to the Braves. It was actually okay for a couple of weeks.
He did. Here's what I was shocked at. The amount of time.
He was
that was a
10
short
plus year
career.
guy, right?
9. He said
didn't
9.
He didn't make 10 years of service?
I mean, he didn't get
he's been around longer.
No, I was shocked. 9 seasons.
Yeah, and here's something to think about,
I would have guessed. I would have told you Whit Merrifield was in the 12, 13 years.
Just real quick, a thing to remember about athletes is the outside factors that we don't see or think about. He mentioned the birth of his daughter and having a kid at home that happened in March of 24, which would have been right before the start of his season with the Phillies. I'm not saying that immediately contributed, but he's like, I can't focus on two things.
No, I think it's fair. Bryson Stott, that happened last year. Ranger Suarez, when his family came home, we saw Ranger not pitch well after.
Absolutely. Well, all of a sudden he had kids pulling at him when he came home from work, which he never had in his whole pro career.
Yeah.
He had a wife who then you've got responsibilities when you come home.
I forget who it was. It may have been Shea Gilgeous-Alexander when the Thunder won the championship. I think it was Shea. I forget who it was. He got no sleep after. So imagine you win the championship, you're partying, and then you don't sleep because your baby was crying all night. And because he's, with his kid and wants to be an attentive father and not just be like, oh, can you go take care of that? I just won the NBA championship. I want to celebrate. He didn't sleep. That's why I always try to look at athletes from the human element.
Absolutely. I admire that with the.
That's why I don't have kids.
Yeah, you'll get there.
All right. Earlier today, Adam Schefter joined us. Here's the 5 best minutes of it. From ESPN, our man Adam Schefter joins us. Shefty, good morning.
The NFL has really become adept at spreading out its events and dominating the calendar. And I think you'll remember this, but I'm being honest when I say this. I started covering the NFL in 1990, and I always remember, I always felt like it was a big deal when free agency happened. And in the early 90s, when free agency started, not everybody felt that way, but I always felt like that was a big thing. And that was reflected in the way that I always approached that week or that month. And then I always thought it was a big deal when the schedule came out. And I would write stories back in Denver. And a lot of people didn't think that. And now, the league's turned that into a whole big, I would say day-long event, but it's really a week-long event and maybe more. And OTAs I always thought was interesting. And now people, it's not overnight, but people have been very interested to track their teams and their favorite players. So, this isn't all that new to me, but it's really become widespread over the last 10, 20 years. And I think it's gone to a new level every year. And other leagues do want to cop. They see the success. They want their leagues talked about. Now, I will say this. It's Wednesday, June 25th. And on Wednesday, June 25th, there's not a whole heck of a lot that the league can do because even the people inside the league have to kind of take a little bit of a break before it all starts back up again in mid-July. But that doesn't mean that something couldn't happen today, this week, next week, or the week after. It's just that if there are a couple of quiet weeks on the NFL calendar, these would be them. That doesn't mean the league is immune from things happening. Aaron Rodgers goes on Pat McAfee yesterday and announces that he anticipates that this will be his last season. So there's always something, but these should be the two quietest weeks of the year.
So when we do get back to football action, it'll obviously be training camp, and I'm sure you'll get a better feel of this from training camp because I know you do your tours and you talk to a lot of people. The Eagles' defense got a facelift, right, this offseason. There's a lot of new changes, a lot of new players. The Jair Alexander signing didn't happen with the Eagles. I'm curious, is there any sort of early mention of a player that the Eagles are hoping or expecting to take that next step forward for them to sort of keep this defense toward the top of the league like we saw last year?
Well, I just think you look at all those young players that they've drafted. I mean, Jalen Carter did that last year, and I would think he could be even better this year, right? So, and by the way, this would be his third year, correct? Yes.
Yes.
So again, you want to dangle that out there. If Jalen Carter dials it up again, do they sit down and try to get a contract extension done with him after this season? I would think that that's certainly possible that they try to do that. That would be something that would be within the realm of possibility. And you look at just all the young players that they have on defense and all the young players that they want to keep around. There are these contracts dangling out there, big money for all these guys if they can step up and continue the performances that they've engaged in.
Tell us about the evolution of tight end university.
I think it's very interesting. My observation from afar is this, that obviously Greg Olsen, Travis Kelce, George Kittle decided, it would be really neat for us to get all the players together at a certain spot. And that way you're helping people at their craft, you're growing the position, everybody, it's like a fraternity of tight ends, that's what it is, and then you turn it into a business model. So now you got people sponsoring it. Now, I don't know whether they do or don't make money. I have no idea about that, but I think it sets up as a model for quarterback camps and wide receiver camp or wide receiver U or DLU or LBU, whatever you want to do. Now, whether that they own the rights to that or whether they franchise it out, and whether tight end U is something like Taylor Swift performed last night at a concert that they then sell the rights to a sports group. Like, everybody's looking to enter the sports business. Guys now own this.
Schefter, last thing before we let you go, I mentioned Jair Alexander. It happened like right after we had you on last week.
Yeah.
I know he signed with the Ravens, and he mentioned that playing with Lamar is something he wanted to do. I believe it was your report that he actually left money on the table to go to Baltimore. Any understanding if the Eagles were in on Jair Alexander, and if that came close at all?
The two teams that I had heard all along were the Carolina Panthers and the Baltimore Ravens. That's not to say that the Eagles didn't make a phone call to check in to see what the situation was, but I never heard that they were viable or a real possibility. I think that situation came down to, in the end, Carolina and the Baltimore Ravens, and obviously Baltimore had a big advantage with Lamar.
Schefter, we appreciate the time as always,
Great
man.
job, Adam.
And we'll talk to you next week. There's our 5 best minutes of Adam Schefter. You can hear that again on 97.5thefanatic.com as well as our YouTube page.
The tight end university is an interesting thing because the quarterback, as he suspects, quarterback could be next.
Well, they do have the lineman one already. right?
Yes.
Doesn't Lane Johnson, isn't he?
Yeah, but that's not
like ahead of it?
Yeah, but it's not to this scale.
No,
I mean,
not to but it's going to get bigger, I would imagine.
I would imagine. Like these are interesting.
Isn't it not just offensive linemen? Isn't O-line versus D-line?
I don't know about that.
I
I don't know.
like
I haven't got my
like
invite yet, so can't tell you.
Yeah, they're not worried about you, Connor. They're not having you. If they need an extra body, though, Lane knows where to call.
Yeah. 610-632-0975.
He knows where to call.
It's a good number to know.
That's good.
Coming up next, we'll check our text messages on today's topics. We got our key three as well. And by early reports on YouTube and social media, nobody knew that was Ben Franklin's key being struck by lightning.
It's amazing.
You guys all learned something new today. It's Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philadelphia Union.
The Ben Franklin kite key lightning bolt statue that people had no idea what it was. Relative Time Works checks in and says, I've never seen that statue in person, but seeing a photo online, I think my reaction would be something like, oh, that's interesting. Can't wait to see it when it's finished.
It's the old Flintstones line. If you didn't grow up in the Flintstones, I don't know what the artist got for that painting, but they should have gotten life. That's really interesting piece of art. Now I'm not embarrassed that I didn't know what it was.
I'm just surprised that this many people have no idea.
Your eyes when you're driving.
Yeah, you're focused on the road.
You're not looking at the key. The key is so far down.
Right, you're looking at the big silver
you're looking
part,
at the monstrosity,
which is the lightning
terrible.
bolt.
Yeah, exactly. Terrible.
Yeah, but I've even walked around there. They got the mini golf course there. Great mini golf course. Ever played it?
Yeah.
Have you played it?
Go. Yeah, I think I have. Maybe
it's different landmarks around Philadelphia.
Maybe we have.
It's actually a really cool mini golf course. Have you played, Connor?
I have not, no.
Well, you're Mr. Mini Golf.
I'm not Mr. Mini Golf.
You went.
I went one time like 2 weeks ago.
Go to
there you go.
When it's not 99 degrees out, go there. It's pretty cool. Like one of the holes is you're trying to putt it up the art museum steps. Like
Okay.
It's a pretty cool mini golf course. Just check it out one day. You know, this is what you do when you're in relationships. All right, so real quick before we get back to our text messages, we just played the 5 best minutes of Schefter, and the last question that we asked him was about Jair Alexander and how he said it was really 2 teams that made a call. It was the Baltimore Ravens, who we obviously signed with, and the Carolina Panthers. And Schefter's reporting last week was that he left money on the table. I'm guessing the Panthers probably offered him a decent chunk of change.
Sure. Right.
And the Baltimore Ravens, not as much, but he gets to play with Lamar on a 1-year prove-it deal, which ultimately, that's what it was, what, 1 year, $6 million? I think that's all he got from Baltimore.
Sure. Yeah, but he gets a chance to play in meaningful games, primetime games.
Yeah.
Be on TV, hopefully win a Super Bowl for them. He's thinking it's going to be good for me in the long run.
So I wanted the Eagles to go after him. I really did. Because I don't know enough about Keely Ringo to just say, here are the keys. And I'm sorry, I'm not in love with an aging Adoree Jackson either.
Okay.
And so I think Jair Alexander walks into the building as your second best corner. Like, right? He doesn't even have to put on a damn Eagles jersey.
Right.
He can be handed the new T-shirt that he's going to wear to practice in, and he's already better than Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson. Does it concern you at all, or does it make you feel better about the 2 players that they have in-house that they didn't even really make a phone call?
It tells me that do you trust the defense coordinator?
Yeah, I do.
Well, then, that's my answer. And believe me, in my head, I'm saying, uh-oh. But in my mind, I'm going, you know nothing compared to Vic Fangio. So, trust it. Trust Vic Fangio. As hard as it is, trust Vic Fangio.
Now,
I love Keely Ringo.
Let me ask you something.
Yep.
So Keely Ringo, let's say he wins the job. There's going to be growing pains, I imagine. I don't think he's going to step on the field and be Quinyon Mitchell, right? Like what Quinyon Mitchell did last year, there's a reason why he finished in the top 5 for Defensive Rookie of the Year. He finished second, right? He was runner-up to Jared Verse. I think he was second.
I think he was second.
Have been. I don't remember.
I think he was second.
I'm not going to expect Keely Ringo to be that right away.
All right.
If it then doesn't get better, the growing pains are bad. Do you give somebody else a shot like an Adoree Jackson?
Yes.
Or are you kicking Coop out to the outside?
No, I give Adoree Jackson a chance. I like Adoree Jackson. I absolutely believe that Adoree Jackson is a guy in this defense. I'm not talking about hiding in Adoree Jackson, but an Adoree Jackson absolutely has enough talent and has enough of a resume to be a guy who can perform in this defense.
Yeah. I just also know that you're not a big aging cornerback fan. He'll turn 30 in week 3.
They signed 2 guys older than that after the Super Bowl year the first time. I mean, Adoree Jackson's had a better career than, one of the 2 guys he extended after the Super Bowl year. So I'm just going to say.
I don't think he's had a better career than James Bradbury.
Yeah, Bradbury had 2 good seasons.
Adoree Jackson has how many?
0.
No, Adoree Jackson is not that. Adoree Jackson can still play. He can still play in this league. By the way, he is a guy who, if you believe Vic Fangio wanted.
Okay.
So Vic Fangio saw. We talked about last offseason. Who was a guy that Vic Fangio wanted to bring in here. This is a guy Vic Fangio wanted. So That's how I'm going to tell you. Is he wanted him here.
Yeah,
wanted him here competing. Wanted him here competing and thought he
James
could compete.
Bradbury's had a better career than Adoree Jackson.
But
I think
close.
I think James Bradbury's had 2 good years.
Well, Adoree Jackson's never made a Pro Bowl, never been an All-Pro. His career high in interceptions was 2, and that came back in 2018.
Adoree Jackson has 4 career interceptions. James Bradbury's 19.
I'm going to have no problem with Adoree Jackson being a part of this team. None. I will not even lose sleep over it all. With everything they've got on this defense, I have no problem plugging him in on this defense. If they need to.
Because I imagine
hopefully they don't need to.
I think this is a Keely Ringo, Tyler Steen sort of situation where Steen was the right guard and then he got beat out by Mekhi Becton. I think it's Keely Ringo's job to lose.
I think there's a reason that James Bradbury has the reputation he has. And I think that sometimes numbers can lie.
What's the reputation?
Well, I mean, the Giants didn't want him. The Eagles were fine to... They saw what he is, and then they were like, no, can't use him.
Well, first they paid him.
Right.
Then they realized.
And then they're like, can't use him. They realized they got suckered in on that deal. They made a mistake.
After he was an All-Pro? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but they made a mistake. That was a mistake. They got bit. They got bought in on that year. They got suckered in on it. And I begged them not to, by the way. Begged.
You didn't want both.
Didn't want both. No, and I wanted Slay. Didn't want him. Like, don't take the cheese on him. Bring it. Let one of the young guys. Let the young guys play. It's like let them have a chance. Unlike the Phillies mentality, never let the young guys play. I want the young guys.
Buddy Kennedy play yesterday.
Isn't that great? Yeah, I don't want Buddy Kennedy play.
Well, he's a young guy.
Buddy Kennedy can play Sunday mornings with Connor. How about that?
I think he's better than that.
When Connor's not sick.
He's from Millville, by the way. How come we've never talked about that? Is he the best baseball player out of Millville?
Top 2.
Oh, well, that's good.
What do we got on the text line, Connor?
All right, so we have a check-in here from someone who's trying to figure out this Ace Bailey thing for the draft tonight. And this texter says, I don't understand the idea of drafting Ace to then trade him. You risk him being outspoken and hurting his value. Why not trade the pick before the draft to the highest bidder with teams on the record wanting him? Reach out through them and try and trade it before you make the pick.
Well, again, you could do that, or you draft him 3rd overall. Like, the way NBA drafts work, it's the awkward moment where they put the cap on. Like Mikal Bridges,
right.
He put on the Sixers cap and then got traded for Zaire Smith. So if the Sixers draft Ace Bailey and they trade him, this deal has been worked on for weeks. Like, they're not going to draft Ace Bailey and then be like, who wants him? This deal has been talked about behind the scenes for a while. If that's how it ends up working out. Or, to your point, John, they just go, we don't think we're going to like what we get if we trade back to 7 or 8, so we're going to draft our guy, which we believe our guy is VJ Edgecombe at 3.
I don't want to draft guys. Edgecombe, as a player, I get it. Drafting him at 3, to me, is a little...
Well, that's this draft, unfortunately. The year they get lucky with the way the lottery pick goes, it's a top 2 draft.
I'm just saying to you is that you're overpaying for a player, you're overdrafting a player. I don't think that's ever a good statement.
Yeah,
and Howie
you could say that about picks 4 through 8, right?
And I would just tell you that Howie Roseman would tell you that that's never a good strategy.
Hell, Amy Fadul would tell you you're overdrafting Ace Bailey at 3. I mean, you could make an argument that every single one of these guys.
The league wouldn't, though. The league wouldn't. He is the consensus 3rd best player in this draft. So when you say, like, I always hear that about the year the Sixers went with the first pick in the draft, decided to take Markelle Fultz. Everybody has amnesia about Markelle Fultz. That they want to say, well, they shouldn't have taken Markelle Fultz. Well, I'll raise my hand. I didn't have that foresight.
I wanted to trade back De'Aaron Fox, baby.
See, I did not because... to me, I said, okay, I didn't want them to trade up, but when they traded up, I'm like, well, you take the consensus best player at that point. Yeah. So the consensus 3rd best player in this draft is Ace Bailey. There's no real argument on it.
I saw a mock yesterday that's got him going 6th. I don't know.
The mock is where they're drafting people too. People don't mock drafts on what is. Consensus talent-wise, he's the 3rd rated highest player in this draft. The scouting services have him 3rd.
Well, with upside, yeah.
He's the guy. Is the 3rd highest talent guy in this draft. mock drafts are where people think players are going.
No, I
by
got
some
you.
people's
I'm just saying that would be 5 teams passing on the guy who's the 3rd consensus best player.
because of fit or otherwise.
Or
It's
because of red flags.
It's
which,
red flags
which he
are-
is doing to himself.
Red flags are too many for me.
Yeah.
But to me, I still know there's too many teams that want him. He's a Sixer tonight.
All right, it's time now for today's headlines. Jeez.
No.
Key 3 best minutes from today's show.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
Conversation that we had yesterday, that the Eastern Conference is wide open. Not wide open for the Sixers is what I said yesterday, wide open for teams that are normally healthy. But this is one of those scenarios where you go, all right, I see what the other teams are doing. The Boston Celtics won't be the Boston Celtics next season. The Pacers are without Tyrese Halliburton. There are teams like the Magic and Pistons looking to take that next step, but I think the Sixers, if healthy, could be just as good as those teams, if not better. But the if healthy is the big question, right? So scenario 1 is you see what other teams are doing, you're going to do the same thing, or you see what other teams are doing and you go, this might be our best shot. Which way are you going?
You know my answer.
I know your answer and you know my answer.
You know my answer. It's ridiculous to keep throwing good money after bad. There's no window for them. The Sixers aren't winning a title. So if it's about winning a title, unless you're trying to cosmetically say, well, we want to get out of the second round so we can get that monkey off our back, so we can just get a talking point off the table, that's all you might be chasing.
Schefter, last thing before we let you go, I mentioned Jair Alexander. It happened like right after we had you on last week.
Yeah.
I know he signed with the Ravens, and he mentioned that playing with Lamar is something he wanted to do. I believe it was your report that he actually left money on the table to go to Baltimore. Any understanding if the Eagles were in on Jair Alexander and if that came close at all?
The 2 teams that I had heard all along were the Carolina Panthers and the Baltimore Ravens. That's not to say that the Eagles didn't make a phone call to check in to see what the situation was, but I never heard that they were viable or a real possibility. I think that situation came down to, in the end, Carolina and the Baltimore Ravens, and obviously Baltimore had a big advantage with Lamar.
Phillies lost yesterday 1-0
What a
to the
great
Houston
game.
Astros. Incredible pitching matchup. We talked about it yesterday morning. Suarez, Framber Valdez was going to be a great outing.
What a great game.
The third game of this series is going to be another great pitching matchup. But yesterday was incredible, and another playoff-like feel, right? We had it with the Mets.
It was awesome, and you had him. And you and I both love those games. Connor, I'm sorry I don't remember where you fall on these kind of things. Like, to me, last night was that's classic. I don't want that every night, but that's like classic baseball theater to me.
Yeah, man, I love it, especially 8:10 p.m. first pitch.
And then it flies, and I'm going to bed at 10:15?
6:45, score some runs. 8:10, 1-0. I'd like the Phillies to win.
That's the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. 3 best minutes from today's show.
Nice throws on the on your Tony Reale throws.
Oh yeah, thank you. I haven't. My man Dawood hasn't been calling balls and strikes anymore.
I'm glad.
I've been on fire.
Glad to see the YouTube chat enjoying Eagles talk today.
Yes,
a lot of Eagles chat.
A lot of great Eagles chatter.
Now earlier in the day, they weren't enjoying Eagles chat being even brought up.
It's funny, Connor.
And then they're enjoying Eagles chat.
So at 8:40, we talked about the Nolan Smith quote, and I see the, oh man, I thought we were going to go one day without mentioning the Eagles. And now that's all they're talking about.
See, because it's Eagles is unbelievably the number 1 story in town every day of the year.
Yes.
Fortunately, that's the
now,
way
today
it is,
was
whether
not,
you like it or not.
Today was not a day where it was the majority of the conversation.
No, majority? We hardly spoke about the Eagles today. Like, we hardly mentioned them. But I'm glad that, it does move the needle with people because people like talking about the Super Bowl champion Eagles.
Yeah. By the way, I have 4 of our 5 post-show headlines questions today, so you're welcome.
I got
welcome
one
for doing all the work
I got a slice
today.
of life, which is great. Nice about you lifting your weight there. It's good.
One of them, I think, will offend a group of people.
Oh, good.
Oh, that's good.
We always like that.
Nice.
Hey, we appreciate you liking and subscribing and watching. We get more and more people watching. We like it.
Seriously.
Hey, join us on our generous partner, Window Nation. Better have those thermal pane windows during this heat wave. Make a donation today to the American Association for Cancer Research. You can do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR because I'm living proof 3 times over. The cancer research saves lives.
All right, everybody enjoy yourselves tonight because the Sixers will be selecting as of now with the 3rd overall pick.
What time's the draft start? 7 or 8? I can't even tell. Whatever, but it'll be.
That's a great question.
But
8
we're gonna,
p.m.
Okay, that means by 8:30 we'll know the pick.
Even sooner. It's only 5 minutes.
Well, you never know if they started. Like
that's true.
Megamind has to come out and do the whole thing. If you haven't watched that with your kid, watch it.
We also might know who they pick, but do we know that they keep that pick?
Oh, hostage situation,
That's
please.
the way the NBA draft works. Everybody have a great rest of your day. We'll react to it tomorrow. Mike Missanelli Show comes your way next.